Hey, welcome to the Cool Kids Table podcast. I hope wherever you're at listening to this, I hope you're having a good day, good night, good evening. I hope you're having a good day, man. Some days are rough, so hopefully you're having a good one today. Before we dive into the episode, there's a few things I want to talk about. Thank you to everybody, continuous support, sharing, and all that good stuff. Great news. We're up to 10 states now. All the West Coast, it's all pretty much listeners have up and down the coast, Washington, Oregon, obviously California. But now we got some in New Mexico, in Arizona, and what's the other one? Nevada. So that's pretty cool. We got a few people listening on the East Coast, and those people, I don't really know who you are. So, if you're following me on any of the social medias, tag me, reach out to me so I can give you a shout out. 'Cause that's fucking crazy. People I don't know are starting to listen, so that's pretty rad. Also, I got people across the pond, as they say, people in England and people in Germany and Switzerland listening in. So that's pretty cool. I would have never, ever thought that we'd have listeners across, different countries. And so that being said, I got to do a couple shout outs to the people that did reach out and said, hey, I can't do it all the time, but, I will. Because, you guys are awesome. Continue sharing. Dr. Pepper in Colorado, man. I told you I'd do it, so here you go. And then to my boy, there's a saying in Spanish, lo prometido es deuda. So Manuel Perez, my boy, Meño, a.k.a. Mexico, from the 06 baseball team. Un abrazo y un saludo, carnal. I miss you. I hope you're well. Espero que estés bien, cabrón. Te dije que te lo iba a hacer y ahí te va. Ojalá lo oigas y te guste, pero te miro pronto. Arriba los charros, güey, tú ya sabes. Going back, people have reached out on social media, so I appreciate it, like if you reach out, I'll do what I can, retweet, reblog, whatever. But I do need you guys, you guys are amazing listeners. If you could do me a favor, if you have a Twitter account, just follow. I don't spam, I barely post on there, but it's fucking sad. I have like 5 followers on Twitter. It's Twitter at the Cool Kids Pod. The big one I need help with, dude, I'd really need help with from you guys is if you have a YouTube account, go and listen to this episode on YouTube because our YouTube is fucking dead. I have more videos posted than views. Like every video is under like 9 views, I think. Last time I checked, it was like 7 was the average, which is terrible. So I'm going to be like oblivious on YouTube. So if you could do me a favor and listen to one of the episodes on YouTube, it's the same as the other accounts except Twitter. So you'll be looking up the Cool Kids Table podcast. If you could leave a comment, thumbs up it. I mean, it's just sad. I didn't even check it till my boy Simon Para, he left a comment and I was like, oh, what the fuck? That's the first comment. So thank you, Simon. He didn't point it out, but I saw that once I was there, like, dude, this is bad. So you guys have been amazing. I know you guys listen on the web player or Spotify, but one episode just so that doesn't look as sorry. Like when people show other people and they're looking at like 3 views, dude, nobody's listening to this shit. I appreciate it. So again, on Twitter, it's the Cool Kids Pod. On YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, you can find it under the Cool Kids Table Podcast. Okay, sorry for that rant. Just some things I got to throw out there just because YouTube looks terrible. At least my YouTube, I mean. Okay, well, jumping into this episode. This episode is my good friend David Sanchez. Me and David, I think I met him his freshman year, and I'm a year older, so probably my sophomore year then. He's guest number 5's younger brother, Philip Sanchez. He was there. He was a voice you heard in the background talking while we were doing the whole serial killer thing. He had those cool questions, that we didn't jump into right away. But yeah, so David is, by his explanations, a great golfer. I golfed here and there when I was younger, and then I kind of stopped. I'm going to start again. But David, by his explanation, got really into it. I mean, this was pretty awesome to hear his story. I'm already looking forward to the next episode when we're going to talk about a few different subjects that he talks on here, but just we couldn't get into everything at once. But it's very entertaining. he has a way with words. He's like his brother. He's soft spoken, but they say a lot. With few words, they speak very well. So it's a good episode. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed recording. Hello and welcome to the Cool Kids Table podcast. My guest today is David Sanchez. David, how are you doing today?
Pretty good, man. So far, so good. We got some good beers, and I'm enjoying every one of them.
What do you think of them so far? Which one's been your favorite?
I'm not a beer connoisseur, but I'd say like the bacon and eggs was probably the best one. I mean, each one was good in its own way. They're all different beers, but the taste of the bacon and eggs was pretty solid.
Well, David, you're an avid golfer, so why don't we start there? How did you start golfing, and just take it from there?
It's funny now that it comes full circle, because the only reason why I got into golf was seeing my friends from high school play golf.
No way.
Which was you guys.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I seen you and like Ernie and Gato and Roy and like Ozzy and and I always seen it, and I was always like, I'd be down to go, but then I was like, I haven't seen them in a while, so it's kind of like, I guess in a way awkward, or like you get comfortable, life comes at you. And then I think you guys invited my brother once, and he went with you guys, and Ozzy, I think, let him borrow clubs, and we played, and he went, he enjoyed it. He's like, hey, let's go. I think you'd really enjoy it. I was like, all right, I had been interested as it was, like seeing them going and kind of like checking it out, because I had always gone to the driving range, but driving range is totally different than actually playing. There's more strategy. There's more like, you can hit a home run, but can you hit a home run right at the center field number? Like just get it over, or get it like whatever, or hit a line drive in a gap. Where you're playing strategically to a point, and it becomes a different game than just hitting balls into like just. I mean, even when I went, I would hit like a sandwich on a tee, which is like stupid looking back at it. I mean, if you don't play golf, you'd probably think like, well, what do you mean? Like there's certain things that you hit off of a tee. There's certain things that you don't. You're gonna hit them off the floor because you're hitting them off the fairway. And I mean, some stuff you do tee up, but whatever. That's getting a little too deep into it too quick without like going at it. But anyways, going back to where we're at. So he got me into it to play one time, and I think at that time I'm a left-handed hitter or swinger in golf. I throw right-handed. So being that I'm lefty, we started playing, and I was playing righty because I didn't know they didn't have the availability of lefty clubs, and two, I didn't have them on me, and I had his clubs, so I could just swing them around, and I was somewhat a switch hitter. Never was like an official switch hitter where I'd really like go to a game and be like, oh, you know what? Like Ozzy. Like Ozzy would, if he felt he had the advantage being right-handed or left-handed, he'd go that way and he'd do pretty good either way. I just never had the confidence. I felt like my stronger suit was being a right-handed hitter or a left-handed hitter. So, I mean, why not, I'm going to play my biggest advantage versus the pitcher. But, yeah, so we played, and, from there, we then told my brother, like, hey, you should go check it out. And then he played, and he liked it. And then we told my dad, which my dad had played to here, like, a long time ago, too. And sure enough, when we played, I think he was probably the best one. Like, he was hitting it, he was hitting it down the middle, and onto the green. Or, like, it was always straight. Like, not far, but straight. Until this day, like, he hasn't played maybe, like, in a year and a half. But if we went out, all of us, which we occasionally do, like, it'll be down the middle. And I think about it now after playing for so long and like getting better at it. It's like, it's not easy. Like, it's a game of degrees, Game of degrees in a lot of different angles. You could mess up in different parts, from like backswing to your follow through, your hip movements, your release of the golf club. If it's off just a little bit, you're going to start slicing or hooking or bad contact, as it is. Sometimes they tell you like swing 80%, but as a baseball player, you're gonna drop bombs. You're gonna you're gonna hit dingers like they say now. But yeah, but I mean, I think that's kind of what got me going into it to begin with. And like myself and my older brother, we started going like every week and started playing multiple times a week. And then I got into like, fuck it, I'm gonna start learning how to chip and play bunkers. It doesn't cost me anything. We would play at all the local small courses. Like Rio Hondo, Rancho Duarte was the first one that we started at because I think Philip went with you guys to Rancho Duarte. So like going back to like, I haven't been there in a while, but I always like would try to go back like a year after and kind of see how I do on certain holes. And it's funny because like you go back and like some of the holes are a joke. Like to a certain point, like there's a par 4 that's like 200 yards where like in most courses, big boy courses, they're going to be about 200 yards. And so I'll hit shots and I'll knock it next to the flag. Not every time because, of course, that's fucking impossible. I'm not a tour player at all. But you get those good shots. It's like, oh, shit. Like sometimes it comes easy and you think about, like, how could it be so hard? But then sometimes it's so fucking hard. It's like, how was it ever easy, I think with a lot of stuff. But I've always been into, like, learning new stuff and kind of being somewhat obsessive of like a certain thing, and like whether it's like music, whether it's like because I play the guitar a lot from like middle school going into like high school, and my cousin, she really got me into it, and she's she goes around the world to go and play and stuff, Jackie Mendez, and so she showed me how to play the guitar. And just, I mean, it was fun, something to do, something to learn. You find your way to learn it. I mean, it wasn't like you're learning, like, music and in a band class. But it's like you could play the songs that you like, and you can, I don't know. I always kind of found that fun. I mean, art's another hobby that was obsessive for a long time, like coming out of high school, like going in, like halfway into high school. Like, I'd always done it when I was even young. But then, like, halfway into high school and then after high school, like, college was all about that. Like, I think, like we were talking about earlier before we started, was, like, going to school and, like, taking it serious. I didn't really take it too serious, and I don't know if, like, most people were like that, but, like, in high school, I did my school good enough to play baseball. Because, I fucking loved baseball, like, you imagine yourself as a Sandlot kid. And shit, we did have the Sandlot. That was our Sandlot, literally a Sandlot. But, yeah, I don't know, like, obsessing over certain stuff, like, kind of got me better in that. And out of high school, I got a few, like, scholarships for, like, art to Art Center College of Design in Pasadena. So that whole route. So that's always, like, improving. The more you do it, the more you improve. The part that kind of fascinated me about golf was like, the more you go doesn't mean the more you improve, because it's fucking hard. And even like playing, it's like you can't stop and then go back like 2 years later and think like, oh, I'm going to shoot the same score. You could go play basketball with your buddies and like shoot a basketball and still do it okay, dribble the ball okay, or go play baseball, still get a hit, still field. But golf, I think like the nuances of golf itself gets kind of tough in like strategy and remembering courses, remembering shots, remember how to hit a shot. A lot of stuff that you would do as a beginner unconsciously, like hit a slice where you hit it and just curve so far away from you unintentionally. You're just not doing certain mechanic correct, so you get, so these things happen. But when you start getting a little better, you kind of learn how to like control that stuff. And it's like, oh, well, I need to hit a slice here to get around this tree. So then on purpose, you do what unconsciously you're doing when you first started, but I don't know, that's like the very, very beginning of it to like a brief, into the future on that.
Well, see, because I started playing the same thing. Ozzy invited me just because we would go to the driving range just to, like you said, just hit the fuck out of it. And after a while, I was like, they have these little flags for a reason, like maybe I should try it. I'm hitting it over the fence pretty easily. Maybe I should try for these, for the flags. And, I didn't even have clubs or nothing. Just we would go, you give them your ID, and they let you borrow a driver. So we would just drive. And then I remember we started trying to like hit it towards the flags, and they'd be like, "Oh, which one are you trying to hit it to?" It'd be like that one. Be like, "Oh, you need this," and I'd be like, "What the fuck? You want something big, you know? You don't want to hit the little small club."
Yeah.
And so that's what I started doing. And I don't know how Ozzy got a hold of me, but he told me, "Hey, you're going to the driving range or whatever." I was like, "Yeah." And so he told me, "Why don't you come with me?" And I was like, "Dude, I've never been golfing. I've only done the driving range." He's like, "Dude, just come with me. I got an extra set of clubs. We'll have some fun." And I remember I did terrible. Like, you know, people say beginner's luck. Like, hopefully you don't have beginner's luck because, you know, I bring people all the time and they do fucking great. And I'm like, oh, man. And I was hoping for that, and it wasn't the case. I did terrible. And then he was very encouraging, good friend. So he was like, dude, you're doing pretty good. Like, you're doing way better than what I did my first day. And that day he was kicking ass, and he was just like waiting for me. You know, I'm over here hitting like 4 or 5 shots a hole. And he's like, dude, you're doing great. And I'm like, dude, this is terrible. Like, this isn't fun. And then after the fact, I was like, dude, this was fun. I had a good time out here. We were out there. It was the one in Arcadia, the par 3.
Yeah.
And I had a good-ass time. I think we had his son with us, too. And we were just, like, you know, shooting the shit. It had been, like, maybe a year or two since we hadn't seen each other, so we were catching up. And it was fun. And so, like, messaged me, like, a week later, like, hey, man, that was really fun. Like, we should go again sometime. And I was like, I'm down. He started sending me, like, links to eBay sets. I mean, for golf clubs on eBay. Like, buy this, dude. There's, like, a fucking $800 set. It's out on sale for $400. I'm like, dude, I've gone one time. I don't know if I'm ready for this.
But then, like, when you look at it, like, after, like, if I'm looking at it, if I see somebody has the potential or, like, the want to, I mean, yeah, of course, the money's the money to drop. Like, am I going to buy a PS4? No, because I'm not going to play it, you know? Or I don't know if I'm going to play it. So why am I going to spend it, you know? And, like, looking at it, back at it now, and I mean, even now, like, I talk to people or, like, people that are starting out, I'm like, dude, if you're really serious, like, you got to spend a little bit of money to save yourself a ton of money, because this shit's expensive, you know, and like save a little money now to get a little better and you'll fit into it, then buy like a beginner set for $200-300 and then toss everything and then go into it, you know, because everything is its own thing. And they say, like, in the industry, like, there's no one manufacturer is going to make the perfect set, the perfect putter, the perfect wedges, the perfect irons, the perfect woods, the perfect driver. Everything's different. You know, so, like, that's one thing that's, like, popular now, even with the pros, like, not taking sponsorships or, like, equipment deals, because they feel like, I mean, they're playing for a lot of money. They feel like, fuck, I can make more money if I play whatever I want, you know. They're giving me $100,000 this year, but if I have the potential of winning an extra $300,000, you know, playing clubs that are going to be, you know, successful, then they'll just do that. So that's kind of what you see more nowadays. So it's kind of nice, you know. Then you kind of know, as a consumer, you know what to buy or what to look for, because the pros aren't bullshitting, and they're not like just gonna pick up a set of clubs or like say, oh, you know, I'm Nike, you know, just because they fucking pay me, this is the best, you know, like, because it's not always. I mean, some of the people, they have like good people on the background making the clubs, but at the same time, it's like you got everybody saying their shit's the best. It's never gonna happen.
I mean, hearing you know, you got really into it. I personally went to have a good time, you know. Like, we were buying 18 packs, filling up our bags with so much beer, dude. Like, it was a ridiculous amount of beer. Our golf bags were like our coolers. We'd have ice bags in there, ice bags. When that started getting, you know, like, dude, these things are heavy. We're carrying them around, because most of these were par 3s that we're playing.
Oh, yeah.
So there's
most par 3s you're just walking.
And your bag's all wet. So we started taking bottles of whiskey. Bottles of whiskey with a bag of ice, just to, like, all right, we're drinking. It was more an excuse to, like, hang out and have a good time, more than it was, like, competitive. And I've shared this before. I'm not very good. Like, Ernie, Gato, they got better. And I was kind of, like, blown away, because we were on that same level. You know, me, him, and Gato started playing, like, a lot. And so did Izzy after. But Ozzy kind of stopped, you know. At the time, he had, his family already. So we were still all single. Everybody, no kids yet. So we were going, you know, we had the freedom to go a lot more often. And out of nowhere, like, Ernie got really good. Gato got really good.
That's not out of nowhere.
Oh, dude. I stayed behind. I was like, what the fuck's going on?
The reason why it's not out of nowhere is because you were playing once a week, but they had to be practicing more often.
They say they don't. They didn't.
That's bullshit. I don't know. And if they didn't, that's like straight up raw talent, and that's fucking, like, I applaud them. But it's a game that's so fucking hard to, like, get good at without practicing, because it's not only like the muscle memory, but the right muscle memory, and you don't learn that, all of a sudden in between a round. I found something when you don't know what the fuck you found. You don't know if, I don't know, a certain release pattern or a certain backswing or a certain mental thought at that, But, I mean, you're not thinking about that stuff in the beginning. You're just trying to make contact. You're just trying to at least have somewhat of a good time.
We were playing for beer, and so then I noticed, that's how we noticed, be like, all right, well, I won today, so fucking they're buying me beer, and the next day you're paying back, and I was like, hey, I'm paying for beer almost every week now. What the fuck happened? So I started taking it a little bit more serious, kind of all right, I got to practice my swing or whatever. So I'd be the one to show up a little earlier and do the whole, driving range for a little bit, and they would say, dude, that throws me off because you're all up in your mind. I just come in let's go, I'm ready. I don't need to practice, and that'd get me more fuck you guys. I need to practice to be ready, and we would compete. Don't get me wrong, we weren't great. But we were at that same skill level where it was entertaining, all right, losers buying lunch or whatever. That simple shit, but just kind of kept it fun. And I don't know how we stopped playing. I mean, we all grew up or whatever. But I haven't played personally. I've been asking them, hey, man, we should go. Dude, I don't even know where my club's at. And I don't know say which ones, but I'm like, what the fuck? I still have my clubs. I haven't used them in 2-3 years, probably longer now. But I have my clubs there. And I'm just like, I got to start doing it again. I'm a little busy or whatever, but I'm like, dude, something I like doing, so I should go out there, even if it's not to be good, but just have a good time at the driving range at the very least.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. When I went to the driving range, I had a fun time. I would go with cousins. I don't think I've ever really went with friends. It was usually just... no, I'm lying. I went with friends a couple times, but it was always you're just fucking around. Especially when you have no clue what golf is, and you're a fucking baseball player. All you know is hit it far in a way, or swing hard, because that's the swing. Here it's more technical. Everybody's miss is to not release the club as much, because you learn in baseball to stay, impact before releasing. If you're releasing, you're rolling over, and you're not going to give it really good power, to where here it's you're releasing it to the perfect spot to make full impact. But anyways, going back to it, I mean, I never took the driving range serious, and until I played once, then I was like, okay, I need to get close to that flag, and it's fucking frustrating that I can't. So then, I mean, my cousin, she gave me a rough little lesson, which was the only lesson that I got, which is just go backswing 90 degrees, the club 90 degrees to your arms, and then just go through, and the same thing through. So that kind of simple motion kind of sparked the getting better, and it's a fucking drug. You get the golf bug, like they say. And I mean, yeah, I mean, it's because it's something that you want, and you see it, and you finally get it. It's kind of like gambling. You gamble, and then you lose. You lost $200. You're still down, thinking fuck, I only got $50. Then you went $500, and you're like, fine, let's go, let's lose another $300, and you're not thinking about it, But I mean, in a way, you live for the highs. The only thing is as you get better, you're just more consistent. You have more quality shots more often. To where before, I mean, I've said it before, a lot of people, even if they're not avid golfers, you can get a hell of a shot out of even if you don't know, you have the athletic ability and the athletic idea of what needs to be done. And sometimes I've seen people chip out that they hit it terrible all day, but then out of nowhere they chip out from some random spot that's a hard fucking shot that they don't understand how hard the shot is, but you hit the shot and it's the one that pays for your round. The one you think about, the one that keeps you coming back.
I know that feeling too well.
Yeah, I don't know, and that's the thing. Sometimes people get mad because they hit bad shots. I get mad because I hit bad shots, but then it's after that, it's that bad shot's out of my mind. How am I going to make top 10 Sports Center? Yeah. I'm going to curve around this tree. I mean, yeah, you probably end up with more shots, but especially in the beginning when you're learning, that's so fun. Fucking, I'm going to try to curve it around this tree and let it roll up to the green, and sometimes you'd fail fucking terribly, and sometimes you get really good at doing it, and I've had that happen where I can feel confident in a terrible situation and have somewhat of an idea how to play the shot. And then you go to the range. Now your range session is different. Now your range session is set to okay, I'm going to hit shots to where in case I'm behind a tree, I need to hit something low and about 100 yards. So now you see those flags and you're not pinpointing those flags. You're trying to roll the ball as close as you can and just stop on there. or trying to curve it a certain way around, or hit a good layup shot out of the trees. Like say like par 5, where par 5 you get it in 5 strokes. For those that aren't familiar, you have 5 shots to call it an even hole. You know what I mean? And that's probably something we should have covered to begin with. The game of golf, it has its own rules, and I mean, you have par 3s, par 4s, par 5s. You have some courses that are more local that are just par 3s, like you mentioned earlier. Arcadia par 3 course, that's 18 holes of par 3s. You have executive courses like Rancho Duarte, where they're not like full regulation size, but it's 9 holes where it's mixed with par 3s and 4s. So the par means how many shots on average you should get on that. Doesn't mean that's going to happen, because if you do that, you're such a fucking great player to get it on every single hole, especially beginning. Yeah, right. Like, don't, be realistic and optimistic. Realistic in like what's going to happen and how much you've trained, and then optimistic to, if I train more, I can get better at this. I mean, just like with anything, just like learning anything in life. I mean, that's what it is. You can't get down, or even if you're not one that's gone out and done the risk, like you can't judge somebody on them trying, and that happens a lot, where you see someone fail, it's like, fucking loser, like, I knew you were going to fail, you're too fucking dumb for it. But it's like, you shouldn't have that, like, somebody's fucking trying, and nobody that's ever done anything great has, like, been good at something, like, from the get-go. And, like, I mean, if you are, you're a fucking genius. If you can do that at every, like, more power to you, and you're probably fucking lying. But if you are, like, wow, that's something special. But I mean, yeah, it's tough, and I don't know.
So how did your training go? Like, how much time would you spend practicing as far as playing? Was it like a 1-to-1 ratio, like one practice session to one playing session?
I would try to play as much as I can, just because I enjoyed playing. Like, I had been to the driving range, and because when I went to play, it was so interesting. Then what I remembered going to driving ranges, and like my mentality of what I need to do or what I need to accomplish or what shots, I didn't care, because like I didn't really have the concept down, but it was always more playing, because I mean a bucket of balls that are pretty much anywhere, large buckets, like $10 on average. Some courses you can get on for $10. So why am I gonna go practice when I can go play? I can actually go play a game. And it's a different scenario, because it's like baseball, basketball, like you need a group of friends versus a group of friends. Or at least like in basketball, one-on-one. But then if your friend's not available, then you're just going to sit on your ass or go and shoot hoops, which in that case is like a driving range. But, I mean, it got to a point where like I knew people weren't going to go with me. So I was like, whatever. I'm here to do better for myself. Like I enjoy playing, so I'm going to try to get as best as I can. With the time that you have, respectively. I mean, you can't expect to be a tour player when you only have an hour a day or an hour a week to practice on just putting or practice on just hitting irons. It's too big of a game to perfect, and that's why people are all over Tiger's nuts. Because, I mean, and they judge people because of that. It's like, oh, shit, this guy won 2 times. What is he going to do in his career? It's like, dude, you're not fucking Tiger Woods. What he did was so crazy. I wish I would have seen it. I didn't see it when, like, I was into golf, or since I've been into golf. Like, that shit happened, like, 10 to 15 years before I even started playing the game. But, like, I've seen so many, like, background highlights that it just, like, pumps you up so much to play. And, like, nowadays to see him do good, and, like, you just find so much more in that interest. Like, when you've gone back and seen what he's done and then see him still there, it's like you can go back and see, like, Mickey Mantle and see what he did, but then still be there to see what Mickey Mantle's doing late in his career. And I don't know, I just find that part of it like so interesting. But at the same time, like a value of people, in general,
an appreciation of sort. No, because I mean, I wouldn't look at highlights or anything like that, but I mean, I would watch ESPN or whatever it may have been, and you're watching for the high school, for the like baseball highlights, for the fucking basketball highlights. But then they show Tiger, so, you kind of just watch it. But I didn't really appreciate it. I would just see it, like, I'm not going to change the channel for fucking a minute just to change it back. But then when I started playing, I really got into watching it at the time. I was working at a bar, so we had, like, TVs on 24/7, sports around the clock. And I was like, damn, dude, like, these guys are making it look easy. Like, This is a par 5 and they're fucking eagling it, you know. It's a fucking birdie after birdie after birdie, and you're like, this is tough.
And situational. And that's the thing that gets it, like, that's what sparked the interest in me for, like, the PGA Tour versus, like, baseball and stuff. But I don't know. I don't want to even say that because I was never into, like, watching baseball. Like, my shit was playing. I fucking love the game. Like, Sandlot. Like, that's, to me, like, the Sandlot was the fucking epitome of baseball. Like, playing for the love of the game. Like, not, I mean, at the same time, loving the sport and watching it is a part of the game in every right. But for me, like, the actual me being the physical part in the game was so fucking tight. And I mean, I think that's the thing, like, in general, like, just being involved in stuff and being, like, playing stuff, like, even now, like, we go and play racquetball on Mondays just for the hell of it, you know, for exercise. But it's better than running.
What is that?
Racquetball, well, in the hood, it's like handball, but with a racket.
Like a tennis racket?
Yeah, like a tennis racket. So it's a mixture of both. You're indoor, and you're just, like, you use all the walls, and, I mean, you get the shit hit out of you by this little blue ball. I mean, everybody recognizes the blue balls, you know. But, yeah, I mean, we just do that for exercise. So for me, it's, like, more... The competition is what I want. Like, the exercise is boring to me. You know, thank you, Savage. Thank you, any of my past coaches. Running became so negative in my head, and it still has a negative connotation because you fucked up. You're running. You know, go run 10 poles. You know, because you messed up. You know, or you guys lost, or mental error. You know, I don't think they ever really like, and there's no reason to like. Penalize somebody for like a physical error. You know, you just didn't get it that time. You tried all you could. You know, it was like mental errors where it's like, you know better. That's when you're running. But still, I mean, it just led to like a negative connotation of running. Like in my head, it's like, I don't feel like running. Like, I feel like I'm being punished. You know, of course it's bettering your health, but I'd rather play a sport than
do
cardio
that way.
Run for fun. I mean, if you can run for fun, I mean,
people's
all power to you. I mean, for reals. I mean, I wish I was that kind of person because nowadays I'm thinking like, man, that'd be kind of cool to run like a marathon. You know, I seen people, a buddy that I went to high school with, he was my coworker at some point. He did a marathon, and that was tight. You know, because I know what a marathon is now. Because, like I said, I have an appreciation for people that could do it because it's not easy. Like, especially for me, like somebody who grew up with that mentality. I mean, that's something that was, like, always a punishment, like, coming up through, like, T-ball. You know, that was always the negativity in it. It's like, oh, go run a lap. It's like, fuck. Warming up is one thing, but then when you're running a lap because you fucked up or your team messed up and they're just punishing you, I mean, nowadays it's like, oh, I don't feel like running. But, yeah, man.
So how did you we were talking earlier and last night you were talking about how you follow it pretty heavily, like you do fantasy golf. How does that work?
I don't do fantasy golf. Like I did it once at one.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it in one occasion for the fun of it, and you basically pick. I want to say you pick a few, I think you pick like 3 guys. At least I think this was off of Yahoo. But you pick like 3 guys, and then just whatever place they take in the week, you then, you know, you get points off of that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not really like statistics. Like there's statistics, and it gets pretty deep. Like your strokes gained. So strokes gained, you could strokes gained off the tee. So how well do you drive it? And do you drive it in the fairway more often? Do you drive it in the light rough, or do you drive it like way off the rough? That's all your strokes gain off the tee, or strokes gain approach, or putts per round, or like your sand saves. That's all like statistics nowadays that they look at, but I don't know.
No, it's cool. Just 'cause I do like fantasy football, fantasy baseball, like year
round.
Yeah,
so the score was basically where they ended up in the tournament.
I just hadn't heard of that before.
So I started a few weeks late, which is like a big downfall. And I was all into golf. This guy, I think he sat next to me at work, and he was like, "Hey, I'm doing this fantasy thing. So if you want to get in," he's like, "We already started, but I see that you like it. So if you want to join just for the hell of it," I was like, "Yeah, I'm down." And sure enough, I ended up winning. I mean, but then you start falling. So just like I'm sure fantasy baseball gets like just so much more. Or fantasy football gets so much more in depth. because you learn the players, you know, you see their trends, you see like what they did the last tournament, you see like how many cuts they've made, you know, you see if they're hot at the moment, because a lot of times like it's not that these guys suck and that these guys are better. They're all pretty much level with the exception of like, you know, your Hall of Famers and your Tigers and your Phil Mickelsons and, you know, the people that you see young winning at a much higher rate than normal. Like at that point, it's just seeing who's hot at the moment. For example, right now at the Masters, I mean, this is going to air probably after the Masters tournament is done. But right now, man, you have so many of the top guys from like some of your older guys in like Tiger and Phil who are over 40, you know, in the mix. And I mean, Tiger Woods has been killing it. He's second in the total wins category, career wins, and then second in the major wins, which are some of the bigger ones. And he's in the mix. You know, he's second place. You have these other guys. There's, I think, the guy that's in the lead too has been playing for a long time, and he's in the lead by 2 right now going into Sunday. So that's kind of an interesting kind of look at things. But then you have a lot of the new guys that are coming out who are right behind them too. You know, the guys that grew up inspired by Tiger Woods, the guys that, you know, like you're playing with the legend. I'm sure like at some point, like you kind of grown numb to it, because before, like the statistics for people that were playing with him, like these people were shook, because this guy came on the scene straight out of college and just tore it up. And I mean, it got to a certain point where like the people that were playing against him did not do good, did not ever do good, like never, because it was just so different. Like the crowds knew or were so hyped up on him that, you know, playing with that many eyes on you, which was never seen before, you know, got everybody nervous. But now, like, and plus this guy was working out so much and practicing so much that he was making these guys look like fools, you know, like some of these guys were not conditioned. You know, Tiger Woods was running 6 miles a day in the morning before starting his whole like routine of actually practicing golf. Like he was like a physical like phenom. And, you know, and nowadays, now the people, like, they grew up with that, where you see, like, all these players in top shape. And it's, like, it's a sport. Like, I know a lot of people say, oh, that's not a sport.
It's a sport.
It's a sport. Yeah, it's a hell of a fucking sport. If you haven't played it, go play and tell me you did good and you're not going to call it a sport. Like, you're fucking beat. You're tired after, especially if you're drinking.
You're mentally drained too.
You're mentally drained. You're physically drained, and like you just want to shower and nap, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's just a whole different level that he took it, and you know, people basically they grew their consciousness of what, you know, a golfer is or what a golfer can be, and a bunch of kids grew up, you know, working out at a young age and just becoming like physical specimen as they develop through like their junior golf and amateur golf and collegiate golf, and then going into tour. Now you have such a high level of players, so that's where you see it now. You see some of the older guys who were killing it before and are still killing it now with like a resurgence. I mean, Tiger's had a ton of injuries.
How many back surgeries has he had?
I don't know. The numbers are kind of, I think he's had like, I want to say like 3 or 4 back surgeries, knee surgeries, I think elbow, yeah, the most recent one was like a bulge disc in his spine. So they did a microdiscectomy, and then it worked out, but he was out for like a good like year and a half. And when he first kind of tried to come back, like it was so sloppy, and it was scary. Like I went in one of my first experience in seeing like an actual live tournament, which if you're any bit like intrigued into golf, go and see a live tournament. Like it's different. The way these people like hold themselves, their demeanor, and I'm not saying like about like the respect or the honor about the sport or whatever, but just like they stay calm, cool, and collected the whole round. And I mean, some of it, to go and see it is one thing. I was going to say something else, but that'll come up right now. But to go and see it is one thing, and just see how they like go about fuck ups, how they go about like just their round, you know, like they don't get like amped up over stuff. I mean, some people do. I mean, if you're an emotional player, you're an emotional player. But for the most part, you know, they try to keep it like mellow, you know, and you see these people just like walking, just chill, and like then when you realize like, oh damn, you know, I was playing and I was like running to my ball and my heart's beating and I'm like nervous about missing it. Like these guys are just like meticulous and like taking their time and paying attention to details and like just checking all their techniques, you know, before they go and hit the ball. But I don't know. It's interesting to go and see it, and I recommend it to anybody to just kind of.
Where did you go see it? Out here in SoCal?
Yeah, they have what's now the Genesis Open. Before it was the North. I forgot what it was. It doesn't matter anymore. It's just sponsorships. They're not paying us anything.
Where at?
Pacific Palisades. It's the Riviera Country Club. It's by where my brother works. Century City, Santa Monica area. But it's like an old school golf course, and maybe one of the older ones in, for sure, Southern California, if not like California and the West Coast. But yeah, I mean, it's such a beautiful golf course, and it's so different. Like you go and you play courses here, and like you see the architecture, and the architecture. I mean, you don't know when you're first playing. You know, you just go play like, oh, fuck, I'm gonna play this course. But then as you start playing, then you see like, okay, this guy designed this. Jack Nicklaus designed this. Arnold Palmer designed this, or Tom Fazio. You see, these are people that like more design like resort courses. I'm in no way like a historian on architecture, but you've got like a lot of well-known Alistair McKenzie, Donald Ross. I mean, there's a bunch of like old school architects in what they call like the golden era, the golden age of like architecture, which are courses that aren't really in this area. You're not going to play a public course that's designed by, you know, by such a high rated architect. You know, that's where you get into like the private country clubs, which sucks. You know, like some of the best golf here in Southern California is not welcome to the public. You know, we're playing some like flat courses, and like some of them get boring, especially like when you see like some of these courses. Like I recently played through like a membership, like a SCGA, which is just like a kind of like a club.
Where's that at?
The SCGA is the Southern California Golf Association. So they have like the USGA, which is like in charge of like the overall growth of the game in golf in the United States. Then you have like your NCGA, SCGA, like Northern California, Southern California Golf Associations, which are more into growing the game within their section of the United States. So through there, you have certain clubs that would be more exclusive to the general public. And I mean, I would recommend this if you're, you know, coming into the game and you find it fun, but you're kind of getting bored of like some of the courses that you play. Well, if you join this club, it's like maybe $40 a year, and you get like a handicap number. So then you like start logging in your rounds, and like if you're critical on your stats and you want to just get better, like that's good to have. At the same time, if you don't really care and you just want to play fun courses, you can still pay for it and not care, enter wrong scores or whatever, because it's honor system. Every week I think they have like member outings or tournaments at like these country clubs, you know, where you're not going to pay a membership. You'll probably pay like $110, $150, $200 to play these otherwise exclusive golf courses, or golf courses that are around here and are well known, like Trump or like Pelican Hill. But
fuck Donald Trump.
Yeah. But I mean, the course was there before anyway. So
I
know.
Gotta throw it out there.
Yeah, to each their own. And yeah, so I mean, some of these courses can cost like $360 for a round. You know, is the general public going to do that? No. I mean, once you start getting better at it, or even to the point where you can have somewhat of an enjoyable round, it's good to play these courses because you see the difference in what you're given with public to what's out there. You know, I went to Pebble Beach. I didn't play the actual Pebble Beach golf course, but the Pebble Beach Resorts, or whoever like that company is, they own 4 golf courses at their site. So it's Pebble Beach, it's Spyglass Hill, Spanish the Links at Spanish Bay. And there's another one. I forgot what the other one was. But, Poppy Hills. And so I didn't play Pebble. That's one that I would love to play at some point. But in the pros, they play it. So then being able to play like one of those courses. So I played Spyglass Hill for my birthday a couple years ago. And, man.
Yeah.
That's special, dude. Like, I paid maybe about $450 for an 18-hole round. And, man, just walking those grounds in the morning with the mist and the fog, and I played good. It's probably one of the hardest courses in the U.S., if not the world. It was one of the hardest courses on tour, so it goes to show you, I mean, when they play it on tour, they set it up a lot harder. We have like wider fairways to hit. They narrow them. The rough is longer, so if you're in there, it's more penalizing. They actually have to play a strategic shot out of there instead of just like if they're in the rough playing when we're playing, they'll just hit it and get it next to the flag. They're that good. But yeah, playing it was just something special, and it was just an experience. And I mean, I would pay in a way $400 to go and just walk those grounds and just like walk the walk that I did. Like, it was like foggy, misty. Like, it's known for its views, and I did not see one view in the front nine, which is like, it's like sandy dunes. Like, if you go and look at it, you'll see all the pictures that show like it's like in sandy dunes.
What was it called so the listener could look it up?
Spyglass Hill.
Spyglass Hill.
So Spyglass Hill is kind of it's off of the Treasure Island book. So every single hole is themed around like a chapter or a story or a character in Treasure Island. So so if you know the book or you're somewhat familiar with it, you might see certain names of holes that come from that story. But so this place has like just views. So if you Google Spyglass Hill, you'll see so many like just nice views. Like, it's a golf course in the middle of the dunes for the first like 4 holes, and then you go into the woods, and then the rest of it's kind of into the woods, and like the layout of it, the condition, just the beauty, the trees, especially over here. Like, the closest you get to anything like that, where you're feeling out of the city, is like maybe Industry Hills. You go there, you play, and there's just trees all over. You don't see the hood. Yeah. It's a nice golf course in the middle of a what I would say is a pretty bad area. I mean, I would say the same thing over here. They had a golf course here, so no knock on that area. But I mean, it's just the area that we grew up with. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of sucks that some of the best golf is private. So, anyways, I paid $110 to play Hacienda Golf Club, which is off of Hacienda in Avocado Heights, off of, I forgot the street. It doesn't matter either. But man, it was something special. That has to be, to me, the best golf course I've ever played in this area. I've played a couple private ones, like sometimes through members of a certain golf course where they're paying dues, but you're going in to just check it out, or sometimes they have like a member for a day and you're checking it out. But anyway, so the SCGA, they do one where it's like different golf courses. So if you're somewhat familiar with a golf course that you want to play, so like I'm looking out for this yearly tournament to happen, which is not really a tournament because you're not really playing for anything. You're just going to play it, access. But then you have other ones that are like golf courses that are available to the public but expensive and now offered at a cheaper rate. So that's always kind of intriguing too. Like, instead of paying $360 for a golf course, you're paying $200.
Bargain.
Yeah, bargain, definitely a bargain. So I mean, to check out a course like that, it's interesting. I mean, it's a different. There's so many aspects to the game of golf that's just so much besides playing, like architecture. And I'm nowhere like into architecture as it is. I find it interesting as a player to listen to like certain talks or certain books or certain like thoughts or like strategy that they had in mind. Like you listen to some of the pros talking about how to play a golf course. And that's where, I mean, as an avid golfer, you can learn off of the people that are on TV too, because they're going to tell you tips in a way like they're just saying it because it's what's in their head and what they know. And you learning, you see it and you're like, I never thought about like golf course management. What's that? And he said, oh, okay, well, I shouldn't be on the left side. It's a better angle on the right side. Or if you can hit shots that curve a certain way, I shouldn't play a straight shot. Because if I play that, I'm leaving this much room for error. I'm going to play a shot that's going to curve this way to avoid a bunker. Or to, like, play around a bunker or play around a tree or whatever. But, yeah, it's just a lot of stuff that you can learn from a lot of it. I mean, I think I did a lot of, like, YouTube and, like, yeah, I never took a lesson besides that one that I was saying about with my cousin, but that was like so little that it had an effect like at the beginning. Now it's such basic of a tip that it's like I don't know. If I learned other stuff, it'd probably be better. I mean, even now I'm kind of curious, but at the same time I don't want to like mess up my swing because I'm not like spending as much time to like really like stick to it and fix it and then like implement it and keep going because it's a learning curve. You're getting used to a lot of stuff that you're not used to and making that familiar. And if you're not going out to practice it all the time, you're never going to fix it. And if you're not being super competitive anyways, what's the point? Yeah. Like I want to play tournaments and stuff. Like some of the like Southern California amateur tournaments, which I mean are in no way easy because you have like collegiate golfers that are like Division I or whatever, playing in these tournaments, trying to get it to like benefit their amateur status and become like the best amateur in the world, which isn't easy. I mean, these guys are good. These guys are crazy good. But like still just being able to play a tournament and like playing under like tournament rules, like I've always enjoyed like the game of baseball, playing it under pressure, being the last out, and you're down by one, runners on first and second. What are you going to do? Like, are you going to swing? Or are you going to like, you're going to, I don't know, like you're looking at gaps. You're trying to find whatever you can find to do it. And I mean, all those situations, just playing baseball for so long, like getting a little bit of a rush of playing like a tournament, which I've played a couple tournaments to this date.
Why do you share that story, the tournament story?
The tournament was good. The main one that I remember, like the other one's kind of like a basic tournament. This one was more like a city tournament, and in no means was like a respected event or like it was just like a first like let's put it together at a local golf course, Whittier Narrows golf course. It's nothing special, It's a golf course. I mean, I find it special. I learned a lot there, and I probably played most of my golf like coming up there because I mean it was cheap. Me and my brother would get on and we'd play and we'd end up playing like 25, 26 holes in one day, after work. We started at 1:30 and just go till you can't see. And it was funny. You just turn on the lights and or turn on a flashlight, try to find your ball, hit it and go and use the flashlight light. Like, well, where do you think you hit it? I don't know. I felt like I hit it straight and you're looking straight and sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. Drop another ball. But anyway, so that golf course that day, I had entered the tournament. There was, I think, 15, maybe 20 people tops. But I entered the tournament just saying, like, fuck it, it'll be tight. It's a Rosemead City tournament. So I joined it. Then, like, they send you, like, the tee times. They send you, like, who's going to play. So it's kind of interested, like, oh, well, who is playing? Like, who are these people? And you've seen that there's some fucking good people. They're like, I didn't know them. I didn't know what they did, But through the handicap system, through the USGA or SCGA, you can go into and see, like, people's handicap. So you go into it and see, like, oh, okay, this guy, this is his name.
Why don't you explain to the listener real quick how the handicap system works? So
the handicap system, they obviously understand that not every single round is going to be, like, your best round. So it's out of your first 20 rounds, or out of 20 rounds, the average of your best 10. So basically, your half of your scores in 20 rounds, and then the best, just like average that. So that it's more seeing what your potential is versus like what's your actual average. Because if you count your average, you're always gonna like be way up there. Because you're not always gonna play. It's too hard of a game to play that good. So you start off with like, say like your average handicap. I think in golf in general is like maybe like a 18 to 25, somewhere within there. So that's meaning you're giving up 18 to 25 shots per round. So a bogey or a little over a bogey every single hole, and that's considered somewhat average, out of all golfers. So if you can get that down lower and lower and lower, like you're getting really good. And I think like if you get down to like single digit handicaps, so like if you get down to like a 9.9, so 9 being the single digit, that's I think like the top like 5%
of all golfers.
Yeah, so you're hitting something kind of special in a way when you're there, and when you're there, like the level of the game gets a little. It's different. It's a different game for sure. You're not just trying to make contact. You're trying to go for it. Anyways, going back to the tournament. So we played. I was familiar with this golf course because we played growing up so much, and I remember hitting like a ton of good shots. I remember hitting a ton of bad shots. There's certain holes that you step up on, and you're like, "Fuck, I always go left here. Or I always fuck this hole up. Or I love this hole. I always end up in this spot and I always have a good position to get here." So anyway, so that round I was confident. I was playing good. I was like practicing and stuff the weeks coming up to that. And I got there somewhat early. I was putting, I was chipping, I was hitting some wedges, hitting some drivers, and everything felt pretty good. I didn't know what was in store. I know nerves were somewhat there, like butterflies in your stomach, just like when you're in high school and you're on the bus driving to Arroyo High School to play them. Yeah, just whoever's competitive. You just don't know what to expect. And you're just going into it, knowing that you're prepared. And so I played this round. I think like the first hole, I think I parred. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm not like pros would think like a par is like a bogey, on a par 5 because you have so much like leeway to have mistakes and still do what somewhat decent or birdie it. But I'm not nowhere near that. I'm okay, but yeah. So I guess backtracking a little bit. So my handicap right now is like a 3.9, which is pretty solid. Now on the other side of the spectrum, you get down to scratch, which is 0, which means half the time when you play, you're shooting even par. So on most regulation size courses, it's going to be par 72. It's a mix of par 3s, 4s, and 5s. So that's saying if that course is a 72 handicap, 72 par, then that's saying that I'm expected to shoot 4 over, more or less. Which is great. Yeah. And some of the players that I was playing, now you go from, say I'm a 3.9, and then you go to scratch, which is 0, and then you go +1, +2, +3, +4. So now instead of saying like, oh, this course is a par 72, I'm playing it as a par 76 because my handicap's a 4, so I'm adding 4 strokes for myself. Now, these people are giving up strokes because they're so fucking good. They can shoot a score under par more than half the time that they play. So now instead of gaining strokes from the course, you're giving strokes. So you're already starting over, right? So in this tournament, you had your gross score and your net score. So obviously your gross score is your total score not adjusted to your handicap, right? So like if I played against you, you might be a 30 handicap, I'm a 4 handicap. In no way is it fair for me to play against you because it's never going to be even. But now if you adjust it, you shoot, let's say it's a par 70. You shoot a 90, but you're a 20 golfer. That's like you shooting scratch to your score, right? Now if I shot 1 over, then it's like, oh, okay, and I'm a scratch golfer. Well, I lost because I shot more than what I'm normal. Like you shot so well for what you can do that, it tops what I do. And then you have so that's your net score. Your gross score would be like, oh, well, I had less strokes than you no matter how good you are. Yeah. So that's really the one that in tournaments that you're more like looking at. Like the net is just a reflection of how good you did to what your average is. So in this case, I played a guy that he was a +3 or he was like a +1 or 2. Which is like, damn, that's a good player. Especially like amateurs, especially me. I never played any like competitive golf. I never grew up in junior golf. it was always baseball, you know. So to finally go up against people that I was impressed, even though not knowing them, but just knowing like, fuck, man, this guy has pretty good scores. You know, he went with fucking UC Davis, and you know, or you see like this guy went to this school, and just out of curiosity, you know, I looked up the people's backgrounds, you know, see where they played and like tournaments and like see if there was like any articles about them. And it was just like fun to kind of see like, oh, this is the guy that I'm going up against. You know, so sure enough, there was one guy that I had in my eye. I was like, this is the best fucking guy in this whole tournament. And I know because you can go back and see their history. So I parred the first, and then sure enough, I came up to a hole where I'm like, fuck, I always go left. Always go left. Sure enough, I hit a tree, you know, right off the tee box, and I'm left with like 300 yards, maybe more. So then I recover myself. I hit a good recovery shot, get it back in the fairway, then I chip it close. Or I chipped it to like 15 feet and made a really good putt to stay even par. Which I'm like, oh, okay, cool, hell yeah. You know, there's a
par.
Yeah, so it was a par 5, a par 4. Now we're going on to a par 5. And that one I had been playing. And when I had played that course a lot, it was soft. It was like run down. It was run by the county. So they never really put money into it. So then a company called American Golf took it over. And I hadn't really gone back since they had it. And it had been maybe 2 years. So like the tee boxes were a little bit better. The green conditions were a little bit better. The golf course maintenance in general was a little bit better. There just wasn't like a mess in between holes, like just like junk and old chopped down trees, like just laying there, you know. And one of the things that I noticed when I was like playing a practice round was like these fucking greens were hard. So when you hit the ball has an effect because the ball has a soft cover, right? There's different kinds of balls. But say your ball has a soft cover that's soft enough that when it hits the grooves on a golf club, digs into the grooves, and that's what creates spin, which when you hit the green, stops. You know, that's why you can get a ball to spin back, you know. But when they're so firm, so say like, for example, like what the pros play, they play super firm greens. So like if you have just the normal contact or like you can be good around here, but the second they switch the greens to like pro greens, it's a completely different game because you're not playing like, oh, well, I'm just going to land here. It's going to fucking sit. You know, it's going to like dig in and just going to stop where it's at, or it's going to do something predictable that I'm used to it doing with such a soft golf course versus like a better golf course that's like firm. So that was like one of my first experiences in seeing like something that firm. I was like, oh shit. So I was like, okay, you know, instead of like I would hit the green, but it just like bounce and come off, and like, fuck, I never experienced that. So that means that you either need to hit it higher so that it comes down in a lower trajectory, just like if you drop it instead of like lobbing it onto a green. I mean, of course, if you lob it, it's going to roll out to where if you just drop it next to you, it's going to stop because there's no momentum. But so going into it, I kind of knew that. I was like, okay, well, I got to kind of adjust numbers. You know, like the flag might be 155 yards, but I can't hit a club that's going to take me 155 yards. It's going to bounce next to the flag and keep going. So instead, I'm like, okay, you know, I'm going to play 145, let it bounce, and then roll out those 10 yards or those 5 yards and leave you 15 feet or whatever it is for a birdie. But so I went throughout my round, and I mean, everything was solid. I mean, I'm a little guy, but I can hit the shit out of the ball. And it's kind of always been like that. Like, I have buddies that play that are way bigger than me. I mean, if they knew how to use their body, they would definitely kill it much further than me. But I think it's just like the mechanics and
your technique.
Flexibility. Because you can have the technique, but if you're not flexible, you're not going to get into the position to create as much torque as you need to. You know, I mean, most people, the average person is overweight, you know, or doesn't work out as much as they should, so they're not like as flexible as they should be. I mean, you can do stuff to get back flexible and stretch and stuff like that. I mean, and all that is like more beneficial if you really want to like gain distance on your, you know, in your clubs. But so that day I was hitting the shit out of everything and putting myself in spots where like I was never, like, I hit the ball so good that I was in these spots that I had never been in, like so close on these holes that usually I'd be like 130 yards, I'm 80 yards. And now instead of playing like a longer regular shot, now I'm playing a finesse shot. Something that I'm like controlling, a controlled shot. And fuck, it was so fun. Like, I found it so fun, and my putting was on point, which I had just actually, no, at that point I hadn't really figured this little tip out. But I was putting good. I was putting good. I was playing good. And it was fun. Like, at that point, like, you start playing certain shots. Like, if you have wind, you're not going to shoot it up in the air. You're going to try to hit, like, a lower shot to keep it out of the wind so it can still fly its correct distance. Or, if a flag, like I said, if a flag is on the right side and there's a bunker in the front, well, you're not going to go over the bunker, because if you catch it just a little bit short, now you're in the bunker. Instead, you're going to shoot it to the middle of the green, aiming for it to, like, curve, so that if you miss, you're still missing on the green. Like, if it doesn't curve where you want, you're going to end up in the middle of the green and still have a putt for birdie. So you start playing, like, certain advantages, and you start, like, calculating, and especially when certain courses have, like, elevation changes, that's when it gets really fun, because now you're standing on the tee, you're like, okay, I'm below the ball, or I'm below the ball, and I need to hit it an extra 5 yards, or 5 yards less. It would be 5 yards less. And then I have wind into my face, or going downwind. So you start adjusting all your numbers, and you see, okay, where do I want to land? Now what club do I need? So it's like, I don't know, you say it, unless you've seen, like, a visual, I think that would be what would explain it more, like, if you actually played. And, like, when I play with people that I'm trying to teach, I explain these things, because if they're, like, genuinely into it, these are things that you see and like, oh shit, I never thought about that, So going into it, it was fun. I mean, I bogeyed, I think, like 2 holes, or I bogeyed like 3 holes, and it was like in and out of the round. But I ended, I think, the first 9, I think I was 1 over, which is like, damn, was really good. I mean,
yeah.
Playing in a tournament, the pressure of it, I think the pressure of it was what made me focus more. I think, like, for me, my biggest consistency, I think a lot of people, the biggest consistency is an inconsistency. Like, not being able to be repeatable. But we're not fucking robots, and we don't practice as much to be that good. But yeah, so seeing, like, consistency in, like, a tournament was fun. And then so we got to another par 5 starting the back 9. It was like the 11th hole. And I hit such a terrible shot because it was my ball positioning. On one of the holes I hit, and I was like, okay, this club, I usually have the ball here. So then when I make contact, the club face is squared up. So then I'm hitting it, like, perfect, right, dead on. So instead, I had it a little more back. I kind of knew that I wasn't going to get the club released all the way, so it was going to stay open. And it sliced. It went away, and then so I had to chip and putt and all that, and I ended up bogeying. So now at this par 5, a couple holes later, I'm there and like, okay, I know what I did wrong. I had it a little too back in my stance, or more in the middle of my stance, and it went away from me just for the fact of timing. So, okay, I'm going to have it a little more forward. So now on this time, instead of slicing, now I hooked it. So instead of going away from me, now it came towards me. And so I ended up way right. I thought it was going to end up in this wash. And I think I still got out with another bogey there. But now we're getting into the meat of it. After that, it was like, I know I'm doing what I'm doing right. It's just that one club that, my adjustments were good. I just needed to, like, find the right thing. But, like, every other club was good. Like, my driver was good. My wedges were good. My irons were good. My putting was good. Short game, bunkers were good. They're all different games in themselves. But, yeah, so, I mean, from that point on, I think I almost birdied the next one. I hit a bomb, and it was in the fairway. Got it somewhat close. Missed my birdie putt, made a par. Next one, same thing. Missed my birdie putt, got a par. The one after that, I got a birdie. So now with the bogeys that I had, now I was +1. So I was like, oh shit, like I'm +1. I mean, +1 is a hell of a score.
Hell of a score.
And for me, that was like tying my personal best. So not only the pressure of the actual golf course or the pressure of the actual golf tournament, but within myself, like the fight within my head, like it's a different mentality. And then I think there's like a learning process, which I'll talk about after. But I ended up birdie, and one of them I fucking just stuffed the shot. And the guy that was the good guy was in the group in front of me. So it was like these guys saw my shot and like, fuck yeah, like I don't know where they're at.
Yeah.
I don't really give a shit because I mean, you can't worry about that. You worry about your game. Like if you start thinking about other stuff, like the game's hard enough. Like you got to stay in your lane and focus on your game. And as it was, I mean, lengthwise, I'm not worried about anybody hitting it farther than me because I'm pretty sure they're not. And plus, it's my game. It's what I'm used to. Even if they hit it farther, well, power to them, If I hit it that far, maybe I won't know what to do. I probably would do better. I mean, being closer is always better, but well, not always. But yeah, so anyway, so I birdie, and then the next one I had another good look at it, and then the final hole was the one that was kind of like, oh shit, so I hit a really good drive, and then I'm going to my approach. It's a par 4, so I hit a good drive. That's shot 1. Shot 2, I'm on the fairway, and I'm thinking like, okay, well, what am I going to hit? I have 110 yards. I'm kind of in between clubs. I'm like, all right, I'm going to hit this one, and I'm going to hit like a controlled shot. So instead of hitting like a 90% shot, I'm going with like a 60% power with a club that actually takes me farther than that distance. So it's kind of adjusting in a way when you're like in between a number. Like you end up learning different shots with different clubs. But I think at that moment,
it felt
the
right.
the passive shot was not. It felt right. But then when I shot it and I did it, I was like, no, I can't. Like, I'm in my head too much and nervous that I can't do a finesse shot. I need to, at this moment, I need to play aggressive.
Nice.
So that was one of the learning lessons there. Like, the last hole, okay, be more aggressive. I ended up on the green, but about 30, 40 feet out. And I'm like, fuck, man. Now I got a long-ass 2-putt to make, like, I'm not even thinking about birding it. I'm so much in my head that I'm thinking like, fuck, I'm 2-putt to tie my like personal record here at a fucking tournament with what I think maybe the chance to win it. Like fuck. I mean, I don't know how good these people are. I don't know how good they're gonna play today. Like I said, you're peaking. So I was like, all right, whatever. Like I'm gonna give it my go. I putt. I end up like 15 feet short. I'm like, you fucking serious? Like I can see the hole. Like how do I end up this fucking short? Sure enough, I make that last one to par the hole, and I ended up with a plus 1. Something like, fuck, that was good. To make that last putt, I was so pumped up to make that last putt. Because I was like, fuck this, I'm not going to let this like go away. Like, this is the putt that I need to make, and I'm going to fucking make it, and I fucking made it. But, I mean, it's like a little mental victory, Do other people, well, now other people do know, like, what you're thinking. But at the time, like, the people that are playing, they're like, yeah, good job, But in my head, I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, I'm so fucking proud of what I did, and, like, I mean, I think you should always be proud of, like, what you're doing, whether it's a hobby, whether it's, you working, like, be proud of yourself, be proud of what you've done, what you're doing, and, I mean, you can't focus on the negative, like, focus on it to see what can change, but always, always enjoy the struggle, enjoy the struggle, enjoy just, like, being in the moment, always be in the moment of what you're doing, but yeah, so I did that. I finished the round, and I'm thinking like, fuck, maybe I won, and then maybe not. I know this other guy's fucking good, so I'm not even gonna like try to act like I won. I'm just gonna go get a hot dog. I'm gonna get myself some chips, just chill while they count the scorecards and see like who won or whatever. So I just turned it in. I didn't say anything because I mean, I'm more focused on like the round and not really focused on like, hey, this is what I got, because that fucking doesn't matter, So I was just like, okay, I turned in my scorecard, and I'm like, okay, so this is a fairly good round. I knew it was a good round because my best round. So me being a 4 handicap and shooting a plus 1, that's actually like shooting 3 under, for what my handicap is. So it's like shooting a really, really good round that's beyond my handicap in a tournament. So then that was the even funner part. And like I said, I think the biggest part was just like the focus aspect of it. Because the ability's there and you go to the range and you practice for that. But, like, keeping your focus and, like, being able to, like, just think a lot more because it's a lot more thinking than just going out. Yeah, and execute. Execute, definitely. And, I mean, yeah, man. And so I went, I got my hot dog and all that to eat and just waiting for them to, like, see who won and whatever. And then they're like, oh, who's David? I was like, oh, I'm David. He's like, oh, you got a plus 1? Wow, good job. This and that. Yeah. He's all right, well, you're in a tie with this other guy. I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow.
I was like, cool. I was like, fuck this hot dog.
Yeah.
Well, not at that point. I didn't ditch the hot dog. I had taken a bite. That shit was so good. Golf course hot dogs. For those people who have never had a golf course hot dog, go to a golf course even just to have a fucking hot dog. Go play if you're down. It's always fun. Good experience. But yeah, so then I seen like, okay, well, I'm in a playoff now with this fucking guy that I had been looking up, you know? So I was like, oh, fuck, that's tight. You know, the one guy that I thought, like, I'm going to fucking beat this guy, you know? And, I mean, you go into it, you know, with the mentality of that, you know? Like, you don't want to be in a mentality that's nervous or anxious or, you know, scared of the unknown or whatever. You want to think, like, I got this, you know? Like, I know I'm good. I know I can do what I want to do. I know this guy's really good, but shit, he can have a bad day. Sure enough, he had a bad day. Him shooting one over, to me, where it's like 3 under par, where for me it's like, fuck, one of the best rounds of my life. And to my handicap shows that he was 3 over based on his handicap. So now you see where it was a bad day of him and a good day of me. And he even came, he's like, dang, he's like, you shot a 1 over? He's like, that's fucking good. He's like, because that shit was, I found it kind of tough today. I was like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I told you everything felt good. So anyway, so in my head, I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I've never experienced this. You know, I'm happy just for even getting the chance to tie and go into a playoff and try to win. You know, I'm sense of gratitude. You know, like, hey, you know what? To the powers that be, you know, thank you for putting me here. Whatever happens after this, I'm cool with it. You know, and I was like, just gonna enjoy it for the moment. You know, so we played our thing, and I hit it past them like 20, 30 yards, and we're in the same cart. So in a way, it's kind of awkward, but I don't care, you know, I'm going to talk to him and say what's up. And he's like, man, he's like, you hit it far. He's like, I haven't played with many people that hit it that far. So that's something
nice
else. Yeah. So I was like, oh, cool. I mean, this fucking guy played college, you know, something special. Like, I know I hit it far because anytime I play with somebody, it's always further. Like, right now, I'm not hitting as far as I was because at that point, you're playing more. So your body's just so much more used to it, more flexible for the moment, more, you know, the flexibility, muscle memory, if that fucking exists. But yeah, I was hitting it definitely a lot farther than what I was hitting it now, and I ended up behind a tree. He ended up in the middle of the fairway. Since he was behind me, he hit first. He hit it past the green, over the green. So now I'm behind this tree. I'm thinking like, okay, well, I either just chip out sideways and leave myself a long shot coming in. But seeing that this guy's already way down there, I got to be close because he's playing an easier shot to get himself close and then putt. It's a par 5. So he plays the second shot, he goes over. I play my second shot behind the tree, and I'm thinking like, all right, I'm going to curve it around this tree. So here's my second lesson of this round of golf. I hit it, and I just missed the tree. Why? Because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust myself at that moment. Even though I played the best round that I have ever played in a tournament, you know, a point where you would think, you know, in retrospect, you think like, I should have been confident, you know. I was playing a curving shot to get back into position or get it on the hole. Instead, I played it straight, not thinking I was going to be able to curve it. But everything was on point. I was curving it the way I wanted to. I was curving exactly how much I wanted to, on command. You know, right to left, left to right, low, high. But yeah, so I didn't play it confidently. Like, I hit the shot that I wanted to because, you know, my game was on point. But where I was aiming and my thoughts was like, I'm not going to curve it as much as I think I am. You know, so my thoughts got in the way. And so I ended up on the right side in the rough. So it doesn't matter because we're both in the rough when we're both on our third shot. So he chips it to about... No, I chipped it first. And I hit the chip that I wanted to. I mean, I'm always practicing chipping, and I think that's one of my strong suits is my short game. But, yeah, so I was like, okay, I'm just imagining, like, okay, I'm in my front yard. You know, my practice routine here is, like, just chip it over the fountain. You know, in this case, I had, like, an area of rough, maybe, like, 15 yards deep, that I just got to get it over, let it land, and run out. You know, like, usually, like, if you're trying to get a ball to, like, stop quick, you need to have like a really good look at the ball, clean club. You know, you need to make as much contact with your grooves to the ball, you know, so that it can create the spin to stop. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm in the rough. That's not going to happen. It's going to land. It's going to roll out. So I'm like, all right, I literally just imagine, like, certain shots I imagine being at the range. Like, okay, I'm at an Industry Hills. This practice flag is usually at 145. Just hit your fucking driving range. You know, just imagine yourself at the driving range, hit that shot. Because, of course, the driving range, you can always do it better, you know. So in this case, you know, I imagine, like, okay, hit it over the fountain. Hit over the fountain, let it do what it did. Dude, I hit the perfect shot, and it fucking stopped on me. So now I'm, like, 20 feet away. I'm like, man, like... And I wasn't mad because I hit it exactly like I wanted to. So it's
you
like,
did everything you wanted to do.
I had no regret, you know, over that shot because, like, that's what I wanted to do. It didn't react. You know, I actually caught it a lot better, you know, than I would have anticipated because the lie being where the ball is at was pretty shitty. You know, there's tall grass all around it. So there's no way I'm going to make good contact to get it to stop. So I hit my shot and it landed short, and I was like, all right, well, it is what it is. You know, I hit the shot that I wanted to. You know, there wasn't any other shot that I was going to hit and be, like, comfortable with, like, yeah, you know, I fucked that shot up. You know, I didn't execute. And then he chipped it close. And then I missed my putt, and he was, like, 2 feet. So I lost on a playoff. But now the two lessons there was, like, be confident and be aggressive. You know, aggressive knowing, like, because the nerves will get you. And it's better to be aggressive than not be aggressive and try to play like a touch shot because your touch is kind of gone. You know, you have nerves, your excitement. The feeling now, here's another thing that's kind of like interesting, is the feeling of nervousness is the same as the feeling of like excitement. You know, so you can be excited of how you're playing and have the exact same feeling as the person that is just nervous. You know, so you can be good as fuck. But now if you're like so excited, like, oh, I'm in the middle of the fairway, you know, this is an easy shot, like that, so much adrenaline, and, you know, and like I said, it kind of goes back to now saying about, like, the PGA Tour, you know, going to see a match, and you see how, for the most part, most of these guys are, like, taking it pretty easy, like, throughout their round, you know, and they just, like, just keep it mellow, like, kind of same tone. I mean, of course, sometimes they get frustrated, but for the most part, throughout the round, they're pretty mellow, and then you kind of start understanding, like, okay, so that's what I'm saying. Like, as an avid golfer, if you enjoy golf, it's interesting to go to a place like that and seeing how the pros play it.
How they handle themselves.
Yeah, how they handle themselves, exactly. And, I mean, I don't know, it has all to do with the mentality, and, I mean, some of it is, like, your breathing, you know, like, you want to be at a certain, like, beats per minute for putting, you know, exactly, like, it's not that much to where it's like, oh, I have to be at 160 beats per minute or whatever. I'm not a fucking nurse either. But, you know, like, it's stuff that they're conscious of, you know, like, I need to be calm to hit a good putt, because sometimes, like, you lose your feel being too anxious or too nervous or, like, too many thoughts in your head. But, yeah, so, I mean, that overall, the tournament itself was, like, just so fun, so fulfilling. So I ended up taking second on the gross, which I lost in the playoff. But being that I shot under my handicap, I won first net. So first net, second gross. Which, like I said, like, the net one is, like, you know, basically you against yourself. It's how good do you do against yourself. And the gross is how good do you do against others. And, you know, with the fact being that this guy was just a lot better than me. 6 shots better than me. And we tied, like, fuck, that's big. 6 shots is a lot.
That's saying something. Like,
that's bogeying 6 holes,
level.
You know?
Yeah.
That's bogeying 6 holes, or I don't know. It's just so, I mean, I came out with it, and like I said, like, as it was just getting into the playoff, I was thinking, like, man, I'm appreciative of, like, I practiced, I executed, and here I am with the shot to fucking win. Like, that's so fucking tight. So they gave, like, free credit. I got a couple free rounds for some local golf courses. So that was fun. I mean, I was playing it just to see how my game matched up against other people, you know? And, I mean, a lot of the people there, they weren't, like, the best. But there were a few guys on there that were on my radar that was like, okay, I see this guy went here, and he's been playing golf for a long time. There's fucking articles on him. I'm going to see what we do, you know? Like, that's interesting. Like, it's just fun, you know? And that's where I want to get into it a little bit more. And I've been wanting to, but, I mean, as you know, like, having kids can take up a lot of time. Like, not in any negative way at all. I mean, it's a blessing. But, I mean, certain hobbies just take a back seat, you know? And, you know, for the most part, I try to get in around once a week unless I have something going on, or, if I'm not going to play, sometimes I'll practice, go putting, go chipping, go hit the driving range once a week. If that, I mean, sometimes I don't even do that. Sometimes I don't touch a club for a month or 2 months. So it's kind of hard to, like, get better and get into a shape where you're like, all right, I'm going to go compete against some people. Because, it's an amateur tournament, but fucking college players, these are people that, like,
training all the time.
Yeah, they're training all the time. They've been playing since they're fucking 4. And, like, playing tournament golf since they were 4, so, like, the pressure's nothing to them. They can perform, like, no problem. Because they do that every day, Parents drop them off since they're, like, I don't know, 10, dropping off at the golf course, and they just spend all day during the summer. Like, people like that, it's like, I would imagine, like, fuck, if I played golf when I was younger, fuck, man. Like, I don't think I was, like, the best baseball player, but I think I was all right, and, like, for me, like, the realistic part was my size. Like, I'm not going anywhere with golf. I mean, I'm not going anywhere with baseball. I'm not tall enough. I mean, there's some certain people that, are short.
But
David Eckstein. But that's
few and far between.
And these guys are like freaks of nature to a certain extent. Like, these guys are good. Like, there's something special. You're something special if you can be short in a sport that's really dominated by taller individuals. I mean, just because, like, the average height, like, we're Mexican. I mean, not knocking Mexicans, but I mean, on average, realistically, we're shorter than most people, and, so, I mean, it is what it is. The part that I'm like, I maybe could have pursued it a little more, not for, like, a career, but, for opportunities, like, in college and stuff, but whatever. I mean, I didn't. That's back then. I'm not going to try to, wrestle with the past and imagine what ifs, because I don't really give a shit that much, I mean, it is what it is. But, so, I mean, my mentality was like, well, fuck it, I'm going to start just working, go to school, and, like, just get a head start, Get a head start in life instead of just, like, trying to go for something that I didn't think I had a future in. But, like, in retrospect, I think, like, oh, well, I could have been a collegiate athlete and just make it in a way easier for me to, stay invested in my grades and, like, continue and finish college and all that. But, I mean, it's all retrospect.
Yeah, that's, I mean, hindsight, we could look back and do all that stuff. But I mean, going back to the tournament, I mean, I don't want to, like, cut you off there, but I mean, this is just, I've been so quiet, dude, because I'm so intrigued. I mean, this is like, not once would I ever imagine playing myself in a tournament. I just do it for, like I said, go out there, have a good time, have a couple beers, be out in the sun. You're not on your phone, just kind of relaxed and, like, so, like, fuck, dude, it's a par 3 and I'm on my 5th shot. Fuck it. This is the putt that's going in. And then you hit that one. And then, one thing that I liked about me towards the end, at the beginning, dude, I'd get mad. I would get mad. My friends would tell me, dude, you got to stop coming. You're getting mad. I'm not like an anger way, but just like, fuck, dude. I hit such a good first shot and my second shot was terrible. So now it's going to be like, instead of going for par, I'm going to try for like a bogey. So towards the end, I was like, dude, take it one shot at a time. If you have a bad first shot, have a better second shot. So that's what I started doing, and that's when I saw some improvement. Because, like you said, it's a mental game.
Yeah.
And so once I got out of my own head, just because, I was like, I wasn't trying to compete with them because I had no fun at that point,
Yeah.
I wasn't even about the money, but it was just like, oh, dude, I'm losing lunch every day or every time we golf. So when I just started kind of enjoying it again, I was like, dude, this is fun again. And I started doing better. But so I never even thought, like, I never even saw anything about tournaments or anything like that. But I was like, one time we said we should join a tournament just to see how we do. And at the time, I was playing terrible. So I was like, I'm not down for that, dude. I'm not going to embarrass myself. This would be terrible. Let's say we don't get grouped together, like with a friend, a homie. I'm with some random dude, like, what the fuck are you doing out here?
Yeah.
So, to me, it's intriguing. Like, wow, like, this has been... I've been quiet. I know I have. Just 'cause I'm like,
I was like, damn. Like,
I'm getting schooled over here. No, that's why I was just like, whenever I had to say something, I would say it. But like tournaments, dude, like when are you going to do another one, or what's
Well,
how much training do you got to do to be comfortable to do another one?
You got to be good. Like, say for example, so you have like local tournaments. So you have like your local tournaments would say like the tournament that I play. Like, it's in no way like a fucking like a high-end tournament. Like, to me, I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to try to, like, play this tournament and see how I do under stress, under nerves, and, see if there's a couple good people that are going to be in there and basically play against them. I see other people that were there that were, like, 10, 15 handicaps. Like, I'm in no way worried about what they're going to score. Like, I'm that tripping. Like, I got to really fuck up, and they got to do really good for me to lose to them. So it's, like, a non-issue with those people, like, not knocking it, but I mean, you're playing a tournament, you know, like, they're there for the net, not the gross. You know, like, in my head, I'm like, I'm fucking trying to win by score. Like, I don't give a fuck how good this guy is. You know, I want to outplay this guy.
He can have a bad day, like you said. And
but even that, like, fuck that. Like, I don't want him to have a bad day. Like, I want to beat him on a fucking good day. You know, because, I mean, for myself, you know, I mean, to prove it to myself, you know, at the end of the day, like I said, like, you go and you practice by yourself. If you're trying to get good, you practice by yourself. You play by yourself. You go in the times where you just have some time and you just want to get a little extra practice in, you know, like. So it's like I'm not trying to prove it to anybody but myself, you know, and see what I've got. You know, what do I got against other people, you know, like, in competition, like people that do it a lot more than me, you know, and do it a lot better, that have been coached, you know, growing up. So it was fucking interesting, you know. At that time, I had only been playing maybe 4 years. This was like middle of last year. So, yeah, I mean, it's fresh, you know. It's really, really fresh to me. The game itself, like, compared, like I said, like, just knowing, like, the nuances and, like, practicing with, like, coaches. And, like, in baseball, I had my uncle who played professional baseball. And, you know, if my swing was fucking up, I'd give him a call. He'd say, hey, okay, meet me at Live Oak at this time on this day, and I'll go fix your swing. So he'd fix my swing, and I'd come out, and I'd be hitting good. You know, I was always a good hitter throughout, like, high school, and I mean, even, like, just growing up. And that was one of the things, you know, like, I had somebody there to show me, you know, fundamentals and, like, oh, you're doing this wrong, you need to come in at this angle or whatever. So, like, not having that in golf and getting where I got, I mean, I think it's somewhat impressive. But
it is.
But to the same extent, I mean, it's somewhat normal, because I was a self-taught artist for a long time. I was a self-taught musician for a long time, and self-taught in a lot of different things. I mean, just like I said, it's obsessions and hobbies, and I don't know, like art. I don't want to say self-taught. To a certain extent, I was self-taught, but without actually learning it, like the fundamentals. Like, if you don't know how tall a human figure should look like, you're never going to draw a human figure right, because, you know, the proportions are wrong, right? There's 8 heads in a body. You know, the halfway point is the scrotum, and then you've got, like, you know, 2 heads to the center to the nipples. You know, so it's just like stuff that you need to know. You can't just like, oh, well, I'm just gonna fucking wing it and, like,
a stick figure.
This looks like how high a human is, and, like, knowing about cast shadows and foreshadows and, like, different types of, like, stuff you need to know and understand. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you're still putting in the practice on your own. You know, like they say, it takes 10,000 hours or whatever to become an expert at something. And fuck, man, I mean, that's kind of what it's always been. It's just trying to get as much time. I mean, of course, like, I'm at a disadvantage because I don't have a coach, and, you know, like, it's at that point, it's not about practicing so much, because if you practice so much the wrong things, now you're just ingrained with bad habits, you know. And I mean, do I know if I'm have bad habits? I don't know, but I know my swing, you know, and that's where I've been able to get where I'm at, because I know how to adjust. You know, the ball's going to tell you something. You know, if the ball comes out left, you know, it's either because your swing was outside to in, or you left the club face open to where it spun out, you know, and it had those stuff. So then that's when, like, I can autocorrect my swing, like, if I haven't played for a while, but yeah. So going back to, like, tournaments. So towards the end of last year, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna play a few tournaments, try to qualify for some of the Southern California amateur tournaments, and, like, I mean, a lot of times you have to have a minimum of a handicap. So I wasn't really going for anything crazy, because some of them you have to have, like, a 2 or better. Like, if there's certain tournaments, professional tournaments that are open tournaments, and there's also invitationals. So the invitationals are, like, for the pros, and only the specific people invited are going to play. So it's always, like, the top in the world. But then you have, or the top in the area, or depending, you know, it could be collegiate invitational. But you have opens, like, say, for example, the one that was here that I was recommending earlier to go to was the Genesis Open. So you, as an amateur, or if you considered yourself to be a professional, could pay like $200, and as long as your handicap was under their required handicap, you can go and try to qualify for the tournament. An actual professional tournament. Like, when the fuck do you ever, like, oh, I'm going to go and play shortstop, just fucking try out for this week, and
I've been on a hot streak, so
and try to get in it. And if I play and if I do good, then fuck it, they'll give me $50,000, they'll give me $100,000 just for me playing this week. To me, I find that's so fucking intriguing and like so much of like a motivational thing. Like that when I play, I mean, to get there is like it's so different. Like it's so different at that level. Like even like from where I'm at to like a scratch golfer. Like I played like 4 or 5 really really good rounds in the low 70s, and my handicap moved like 2 points. It wasn't even like from 4 to 3, like from 4 to 3.9, 3.8. So it's like, fuck, man, you gotta like I said, I mean, it's the average of your best 10 out of 20 scores, and as you like enter your score every time you play, the old ones are dropping off. So it's also a consistency factor.
So one of those good scores,
yeah, if it's already older, yeah, so that's already gone, if your last 20. So yeah, so it's a consistency factor. So going like from where I'm at to scratch, and from scratch to like a Division I golfer, and then from like a Division I golfer to what the minor leagues would be like the Web.com tour, and then from the Web.com tour to the PGA tour is a whole different level, and then like even then you have like the European tour, the Asian tour, the Japan tour, like you have these other, the Canadian tour, the PGA Latin America, which are also like minor leagues of the PGA tour. So if they win or they do good for the year, they then get advanced to these next levels until they reach the PGA Tour and get their tour card for like a year or 2 or whatever it is. But the fact that you can go, and if you have a good round and you are a legitimately good player, go and so you do a pre-qualifier, which was done. There's a lot of them locally. One of them I think was like Los Serranos in Chino Hills. So if you ever play that, the South course there is the one that they play. So then it makes it more interesting when you go and play those courses. When you have like somewhat of a talent for it, you're like, okay, well, fuck, if I ever play this, I should kind of pay attention more to what I'm doing and how I'm going to play these holes and whatnot, and kind of like really work yourself around and like, oh, like how did this putt break? Because if my brother was here, he would tell you like my golf memory is like crazy. Like I remember shots, which I find fucking crazy too, because I remember shots that I hit like when I just started. I remember specific shots that I hit like on certain golf courses on like certain times, and it's like ingrained in your head. But I mean, at the same time, you also have those bad shots. Like I said, you step up on a certain hole, like I did during the tournament, thinking like, fuck, man, like I always go left, because left is out of bounds. And as a lefty in this hole, I'm looking at out of bounds to where a righty out of bounds is behind you. So you're not really thinking about that side. Your miss is more than likely going to be away from you in the open where you still have a shot. But yeah, man, I lost my train of thought on.
No, just the whole tournament, and I mean, I could hear you. I could just keep going with whatever. What sounds good to you?
But yeah, so let's get back real quick. So now, tournament-wise. So last year, I had my eyes on a couple tournaments, which are coming up in... Oh, shit, we're in April. So it's a little too late already. Which I already kind of knew because I hadn't been playing, like, kid stuff and, like, work. I just didn't have the chance to really, like, practice. So I wasn't really focused on, getting ready for the tournaments. But... I mean, there's a few throughout the year, so I mean, I just have to go back onto like the SCGA website and check it out. But yeah, the SCGA has like some of the Southern California ones. Then they have also like the USGA, which is like the United States Amateur, or the Mid-Am. The Mid-Amateur would be like the next level. You're not as good as the amateurs, because those are like pretty much the people winning that. Like the guy that won it, or the two guys, one was out of Oklahoma State University, and he won. Those were they were national champions that year before. So he's coming out of a team that's hot, Division I, and they win this big ass tournament, the biggest tournament in collegiate golf, and then you're playing against those players. Yeah, right. Like, you're kidding me. Like, we're not ready for that. The other guy that was runner-up was a guy from UCLA. So now these guys are in the Masters because they went runner-up. So that's another interesting part of a tournament is like you get invited to like certain like prestigious stuff. Like the Masters, like wow, you know, like and within the amateurs there's a tournament, low amateur, you know, and you get a trophy or whatever, you know, for doing that. But so I just need to check
incentives to like
So I mean, I just need to check when tournaments are, and then like give myself the time to prepare, and then go for it. But I want to just keep consistently doing it, even though I don't feel like I'm gonna win because I know the level that other people are. I'm just gonna go and try to do my best and see where like I level up, and just try to see where my game is relative to like people that are like really into it. So so that's that. Then also going back and trying to at some point, if I can get my handicap low enough, then trying to qualify for some of the open tournaments. So the thing that sucks is they recently changed the one that was here in LA, which is the Genesis Open, which is the Tiger Woods Foundation kind of took over part sponsorship of the tournament, and now they changed that tournament from an open tournament to an invitational. That's recognizing what Tiger Woods has done throughout the years in his career. So now for people around this area, or I mean people all over the place would go and do like the open qualifiers to try to get into the tournament. So now there's one tournament less. But I mean, it's for a good cause. I mean, he's done a lot for the sport. So now it's kind of becoming his tournament, his invitational. So he's going to invite the players that he wants. The purse is going to be a lot bigger, a lot more money on the table for these players because they're going to be a lot more better players instead of some of the people on the PGA Tour that might not be ranked top 50 in the world. You know, you might get a couple that are ranked like 110, 120, you know, and that makes a difference because, like I said, like I went into that other tournament seeing like, well, the guys that are like 15 handicaps, they don't got shit on me. And I'm sure that's the way like the
pros do it too.
The pros do it too. You know, if they're in the top 10, it's like I'm not worried about Mr. 110. But I mean, at the same time, he could have a good day and you could have a bad day. You know, it just depends on who's hot on what week.
But if it's only top 50 there, then it's both like, oh fuck, can't
yeah.
really.
So right now, the one that's like more available would be like the Farmers Insurance Open, which is at Torrey Pines. So that's realistically the only one in this area now that's like a professional tournament that you can go and qualify for. But I mean, there's people qualifying all over the area, and like I follow one guy on Instagram that he's always going and doing these tournaments. Like he works in the cart barn at a golf course in Arizona, and he's a decent golfer. You know, he's doing that. He came, I don't know what, I forgot what state he was from, but he went to Arizona to go work the cart barn so that he can basically get free golf. You know, free golf, free range ball. So in a way, you get to practice while making money and kind of doing what you do. He's probably getting more money doing like all the media stuff social media stuff and like kind of motivator type person in the industry, influencer. But I follow him because it's interesting. Like it's something that I would like to do, you know. So it's interesting to see that. And I mean, it's funny because like sometimes like the last time he was here was kind of interesting. But like you see him on travels and you start thinking like, fuck, like he's coming from Arizona, so all the gas, all the time he's taking off of work. You know, obviously he's saved up for it, and you know, then he comes and he plays his pre-qualifier. And I mean, from the times that I was following him, and he came like I think like 3 years. I mean, I think he passed the qualifier thing or the pre-qualifier. Then you get into the qualifier, and if you get like top 3 in the qualifier, then you're in the tournament. So if you're in the tournament and you make a decent score the first 2 days and you make the cut, because that's when they, you know, basically get the meat of the tournament. The people that are doing good and the people that are doing bad, they're out. But if you can just get into that, you're automatically making like $30,000. You know,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. You know, but yeah, it's interesting, like seeing somebody like that. You know, do I feel like I'll take that path? I mean, I hope at some point I can get that good. But that's hard. It's not easy. Like taking all that time, all that money, all that risk to maybe do it, you know. And he came last time, and it was just like the This was in like early in this year, which was rainy here. You know, and out of all the times, like he's coming to Arizona, it's not fucking raining in Arizona.
Yeah.
And he's coming here, and all the other years it had been dry. All of a sudden, it's fucking pouring. He plays his tournament, pouring, and he got it. He passed the pre-qual, which I was like, damn, you know, like you're coming to a place where you probably never see rain much, and if you do, you're totally not used to it. It's like it's a totally different game. It's like you're trying to keep your grips dry, your hands dry. I mean, because just the moisture in the air keeps your hands soaked and not wet your gloves. And like it's so detailed. And especially like if you're the only one out there and you're walking, you know, you don't have a cart to cover all your stuff or whatever it be. If you do, even then, I mean, the rain's still gonna hit it. But I mean, he ended up doing that. The next day rained out because it continued raining, and it was a heavy rain. I mean, it was heavy rain when he played. And so then they canceled it, and they moved it. So now he was here, he had his hotel, all that, and now he has to miss another 2 days because they then said, okay, well, they're still qualifying at this other course in, I think it's Poway, North San Diego. So now he had to go and drive over there, wait like a day or two, and then play this golf course in Poway, which he had never, ever seen. Every year he was coming here to Industry Hills to do the qualifier, so he was somewhat familiar with the course because he had played it every single year coming to this qualifier. So now all of a sudden he's going to a qualifier
you've never been to.
Yeah, he's never been to. Actually, I think I got the story wrong. They canceled the pre-qual, and then he had to go there. So yeah, so then he ended up in heavy rain over there in a golf course he's never played. And he passed the pre-qual. Then he played the qualifier, and he was out by like 2 or 3 shots. But I don't know. It's just interesting. And then like it's cool, kind of cool, because then you see a lot of people like supporting him. Like another guy that's with him, like on his social media page, which is just a coworker. You know, like once he's seen that, like these are people that like I don't know him. But in my head, I'm thinking like, man, if that was me and I was traveling and all of a sudden all these fucking disruptions happen, obstacles. It's like, how do you stay in it? Yeah, obstacles. You know, you already drove all the way over here, you know, specifically for that. So you're taking time off of work and all that. So anyway, so he had to go all the way over there and book a hotel. His coworker paid for his hotel.
Nice.
So it's like, man, that's tight. You know, I didn't have much. I gave him like $15. I told him, go get yourself some dinner. You know, dinner's on me. You know, so I mean, I don't fucking know him.
Yeah,
but just knowing, like, in my shoes, like, fuck, man, like, I would like to do that.
How did you send him money? Like
Venmo.
Okay.
Like he put it up, like saying, like, oh, you know, like somebody asked me for it. If you do want to help, you know, you're not obligated to help, but you know, anything helps, and I'm appreciative. So I was like, yeah, you know, fucking, I'll shoot him $10, $15.
That sense of community, man. Like I bet, you know, he probably got not just you, but a few people, and I'm sure he's like, wow,
oh yeah, I bet. I mean,
this is worth it.
And you see him kicking ass. I mean, like I said, like he went to this other tournament and like never seen the tournament. It's fucking pouring, and he qualified. He passed that pre-qualifier. It's like respect, you know, in a way. It's like, man, I wish I could do that, you know. And you're just so happens like with all the situation that happened. It's like you don't have the chance to like pull money out of your ass, you know, that you weren't saving for. But at the same time, it's like you're already out here. You got to shell it out and deal with it when you get back or whatever it is. But yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, nowadays, like social media wise, I think golf is taking a different ground and a different look. Like once you start getting a little more into like the community.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, you have a lot more like independent influencers or like characters in a way, different personalities. Like there's one guy that was never into golf, and all of a sudden he got the golf bug playing with his brother, and like he sees the game a different way. It's more like playing for fun than playing for score. And his name's Eric Anders Lang. I mean, that's a good one for people that don't even or have maybe thought about it or somewhat like they're kind of scared of playing, like because I'm gonna suck. I don't have anybody to go with, or I do, but I'm embarrassed. So like his stories and his like just the way he puts stuff is like super interesting. It's tight, and I think like one of the things, I don't know if he said it or if I've read it somewhere or something, but it's like you're the most important person at a golf course is the new person. You know what I mean? Because it's about growing the game to a certain point. Like I've enjoyed so much of the game, and I mean, I find it fun and interesting just in like the competitive aspect of it. But like I think there's a lot of stuff within it that like you can just grasp like from life. Like there's no need to get mad at a bad situation. You just deal with it and play it as it lies.
It took me years to realize that.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like, yeah, I want to be in the middle of the fairway, but, you know, but I don't have money for the bills, you know, so, I mean, what do I do from here? You know, then you just, you know, hit your shot out of the fairway and make a par by making rent, you know?
Yeah.
Golf's like life, you know, you get, what do they say, bad bounces from good shots and good bounces from bad shots. You know, things you're not supposed to do, but you come out on the positive, you never get busted, made a little bit of money, or whatever it is, whatever, you know, whether it's a positive or negative risk or just thing that happened. I mean, yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I don't know.
This was a good idea. When I asked you, I was like, dude, I've been saying, one of those things where I was like, dude, I'm going to go golfing, or I'm going to at least go to the driving range. Now that I'm out there, I'm like, dude, there's no golf course out there. Like, like you said, I'm going to go by myself. Like, I'm just going to do it. And then, you know, we were supposed to do this last night, right? We ran a little late, so we said, let's reschedule. I was like, on the drive home, you know, I was listening to the one I did record yesterday, but at the same time, I was kind of thinking, like, I hope when we talk, he gives me that push to finally do it, you know? Because I've golfed before, dude. I used to go to the driving range by myself. And I was like, I hope, you know, I come out of it like, damn, dude. And I feel it right now. Like, right now, I'm like, dude, let's go hit some golf balls.
It's fun, man. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, it's addicting in the sense, like, other stuff, like, I've done it. And, like, a guitar, I can go back to a guitar, look up some music, play it, you know, learn it. Or just old songs, muscle memory that I can go back and play. Metallica songs that I first learned, you know, with people in high school or in middle school that, you know, I used to hang out with, like the same fucking songs that we used to jam out together thinking we're the best fucking guitarist ever. Not really. I mean, I knew I wasn't that good. I was okay. I was able to play songs and stuff. But by no means was I like a fucking scratch guitarist, you know. It's probably like a 10 handicap guitarist. You know, it's good enough to like play something and enjoy it and but golf, it's just so different. Like, it's the constant improvement, it's humbling. You know, you can be doing really good, all of a sudden you have shitty round. And it's like, motherfucker, you didn't get me. You thought you were that good, huh? It's like, nope. And then you hit slumps like that. I mean, beginning this year, I mean, I started the year with like a couple shitty rounds, and then there's been a few like in between. And I play my buddy, and it's funny because I've done good playing with him because I played with him a lot. And throughout the years, I used to work with him, and every Thursday we'd go play. You know, Thursday afternoon, coming from Orange County, there's a few good golf courses coming home that are on your way. We're leaving at 1:30. You can probably fit in around, like, if the daylight permits. And we'd play really, really good golf courses for cheap. Golf courses that, right? Twilight on a weekday, you know, versus like a busy Saturday, you know, where it's like premium hours and stuff, and they're charging you full price. For example, like Black Gold Coyote Hill, Black Gold in Yorba Linda, Coyote Hills in Fullerton, or in Industry Hills in the City of Industry. Those are all golf courses that in the weekend you're paying anywhere from $90 to $110 in the morning, you know. But if we're playing in the afternoon, starting at 2 or 2:30, we're paying $40. At one of the golf courses, I think it was Coyote Hills, they had a deal where it was like $40, 18 holes, free range balls, 2 snacks from the shop, a beer, and lunch.
Damn.
And their fucking lunch was legit. Like, if you went with like a French dip, you're paying like an extra like $1.50. But I mean, we're not there to eat prime rib and shit. Yeah. You know, you're just trying to grab yourself a sandwich or something. But I mean, it was a hell of a deal and a hell of a golf course. And that's the benefits of like getting out early and going to play, you know. And at that point, we would rather just play during the week. You know, why are we going to play during the weekend, but then have a shitty like place to play? Which I mean, most places are fun to play. There's not really like a bad track. I mean, there's some, but for the most part, I mean, it's just fun in general, playing different places and checking them out. Seeing what's different. Like at the beginning, I think I tried to play all the different golf courses. Now I kind of stick to golf courses that like fit my eye. Like I like the layout. I like the way like the holes make you think, or there's elevation changes. You know, you're hitting down into a fairway, so now you're adjusting your distance to the elevation, the wind. You know, and you're like, okay, well, it's downhill. Distance wise, I can't get to that bunker. But now that it's downhill, you know, the ball's actually going to fly another 20 yards. So now that bunker's in reach, what do? You know, do I play a 3-wood? Do I still play aggressive and try to get on the fairway and maybe have a better shot? But yeah, like that's the stuff that, you know, intrigues me and makes me like enjoy it more. It's like a thinking game more than just like, oh, let me step up and hit, you know, because you go to the driving range and I would say like the evolution is like you go to the driving range just to fuck around, and then you go to the driving range like, oh, let me try to hit that flag, you know. Then you start like learning that and learning distances with each club, because each club is different in its like degrees of loft, which is like the angle that it's like open, like more to the sky, or more closed where it's like just standing straight up, the face of the club, your driver being the straightest and the longest golf club. And then your wedge being the shortest and the most lofted, something that you hit like your short shots, your short game shots, or sand shots. But learning all that and dialing it in, and then getting your consistency down a little bit more, and then now going to the range and thinking, all right, I'm going to hit a shot that's left to right. I'm going to hit a shot that's right to left. I'm going to hit a shot to imagine as if I'm behind a tree, just a little punch shot, something that I can like scoot really low, but get it to the right distance, kind of. And all that stuff pays off. Like, it's funny. Like, you go to the range, everybody's done it. If you've gone to the range, you see the guy come out with the cart to pick up balls, and you're just trying to fucking hit him. Oh, yeah. You're trying to get in his basket. Yeah. Oh, my God, dude. And that's fun because, like, sometimes, like, I'll see the guy. Now, here's where, like I said, it gets a little more technical because you see the guy driving. He's driving from left to right. So now I'm like, okay, I'm going to hit a draw at this guy. You know, so a draw being a left to right shot in my case. So it's going to basically be curving with how fast he's going. I mean, does it always come out exactly like that? No, but, you know, I'm trying to hit a shot that's going to be more likely to hit him than if one that I'm trying to hit right to left and meet at the perfect spot, you know? So then you start looking at, like, golf holes or, like, driving range holes and, like, play them differently. Some of them have, like, fake bunkers in there. Like, say, Industry Hills, it's all cement. So you're never going to get, like, an actual bounce of a green, or, like, it's not going to fall into the bunker and stop because of sand. Because, no, it's just colored turf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not the same. But you can see, like, your distances, and basically what you're seeing is, like, where you're landing. And, like, when you're playing and you're going to the range, like, you understand what kind of shot is going to stop and what kind of shot is not. So it might be a short shot where, you know, okay, 60 yards, I can get it close, but this isn't a shot that's going to stop exactly where it hits. It's going to stop, and it's going to land and roll out 5 yards. So now your target isn't, let me get as close as I can to the hole, but let me get it in line with the hole and bounce. Or you can tell yourself, you know, I want to miss on the right side. Because you're imagining, like, if you play and you see, like, okay, well, I know where this hole's at because I know where the flag's at because I played this hole so many times, and I know that this whole green goes left to right. So I'm going to miss left, so as it rolls closer to the hole. Instead of playing it straight, and now once you land, you play the perfect shot in your eyes, but then it starts rolling away from the hole. You know, so it's kind of just like factoring in stuff like that, or, you know, just like when you're putting, you know, you're looking at the putt, you're looking at the curves, you're looking if it's a downhill, is it an uphill. But yeah, it's an interesting game. I mean, everything is its own game, and that's like the one thing that like amateurs don't see. Sometimes they think like, oh, I'm just gonna hit my driver. And it's fun to hit your driver. You get good at your driver, but then after you drive, now the next 4 or 5 shots are frustrating. Yeah. You know, but it's all a learning process. I mean, with anything you learn, no matter what it is. I mean, you're always going to have your, like, if you really care, you make it into a game. If you're at work and you really care about your work, well, maybe you're going to see, like, how many hours can I save? How many orders can I put out? How many, I don't know. And if you are getting fast, well, now how many fast orders can I do at top quality? Instead of just being fast to, like, kill the time or to kill, like, the orders that are in front of you. So, I mean, it's just a constant improvement just in general. And, I mean, just that process itself is fun like none other. I mean, with anything, whether it's golf, whether it's education, whether it's just personal development. I think just like learning stuff in general is fun because I don't know, that not having a hobby I would imagine is boring. I've always kind of like skipped around hobby to hobby to hobby to hobby, and I kind of know a little bit and a lot of different stuff. And I don't know, I found it fun. Like there's a couple things that like I kind of stick to, and golf has been one. Golf and art to a certain extent. Now I do art more for work than it is like for fun. Like in college, man, me and my buddy were like 100% into the arts. Like we would.
How so? What do you mean?
Well, we went to school for it. Not everybody that's going to school for it is like going to take all their art classes serious because sometimes that's not what they want. They don't want to be a painter. They want to be an animator, but they need to take a painting class. Stuff like that. But like me and my buddy, like we're fucking studying like fucking Da Vinci and like Albrecht Dürer and the Picassos, depending on what style you're going for, and just trying to like master and get good at a bunch of different styles and a bunch of different stuff, and like portraiture, and we did some murals. I don't know if you remember a painting being right here on the corner by the laundromat.
No.
It was a big fucking painting right there. Remember Jose Perez? His dad had a mechanic shop right here on the corner, Durfee and Parkway. Durfee and Magnolia. The laundromat right in back, that big wall.
Yeah.
So right there we did a mural of like Diego Rivera, Frida Kahlo, and then it had like a soldier. So it's to represent like the bicentennial of like the Mexican independence. And then we did like some flowers and the name of the place, because one of our buddies, he got the spot because he knew Jose. He was like, "Oh, let's do this graffiti style." At the time I had done graffiti, and I mean, fuck, man, that's a fucking wormhole in itself. But anyways, that's fun. But anyway, so he got in it, and he had brought it up to me like, "Hey, let's do this." We got connected with a couple other friends that also did graffiti, and we're like, "Yeah, you know what? Let's go and do it." And so his idea was like in LA, you go drive down the Callejones or you drive down like the Arts District or Melrose, and you see, these pieces that are like impressive. It's like the major leagues of like graffiti, and so his imagination was like, let's do that here. And what I knew was our city doesn't accept that, at least at the moment, like they weren't, it was like a zero tolerance, to where like East LA, like you go to East LA and you see a bunch of shops that are all tagged up and alleys that are all written on, and they just let it be, because it's okay,
Part of the culture.
Part of the culture, yeah. And I mean, that's where you see the most murals. My buddy that I went to college with, like he's always doing murals and doing stuff like that. But yeah, like I knew here wasn't what was accepted, and I knew the second you do that, it was just going to get buffed, and they weren't going to be for it. So I forgot what we did the first time. We did something kind of generic, and it was still tight and artsy, but it wasn't like graffiti to where like it was, to where it being something that like the city would see and be like, "Oh, paint that back right away," So I brought the idea, let's make something with meaning, let's fucking paint a mural. That was the first mural. Actually, that wasn't the first mural. That was the first mural that I did that was like just a group of us. Let's do it,
Collaboration.
Yeah, because I had done some with like classes and stuff where we did like memorial murals for certain companies and stuff like that were through like the college, and like having big parts in like the layouts and the composition of like the paintings themselves. But I mean, this is different. It's like pride, you know. It's down the street from my house. You know, this is my city. You know, I have always said like this. The people in the city are good. It's just kind of the environment that sometimes knocks it. But I mean, I love the city. You know, it might not be the best at all times, but I mean, it's what I'm used to and I'm familiar with it. You know, the memories of going to certain stores, certain markets, little carnicerias, you know, and just like the feeling that you had back then, it's just nostalgic. But yeah, man, I mean, I've always liked the city.
I love it. I'm trying to move back.
Yeah.
I'm a little too far right now, but I mean, I'm out here every day, to be honest. I'm out here every day. It's my city.
Yeah, so that mural ran for... That's why I was kind of like, oh, wow, you didn't see it because it had been there for...
That's odd.
3 or 4 years.
After high school, I rarely came this way, you know, so... You said by the laundromat. I always go left or right, you know, right there by the... right on the corner.
You know San Isidro? The market right there on the corner.
I've never been there. I've seen it. I mean, I lived down the street as well, you know, for 27 years.
So that parking lot, that back wall, the mechanic shop, it was there for about 3 or 4 years. And then I think a new owner took over the mechanic shop and they just painted over it. And then now recently they remodeled the laundromat itself.
I saw that. I drove by and it was like the windows were broken.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. I mean, it lasted a while and like driving by it every day was so cool. Like,
surreal,
I mean, just a sense of pride. Like a sense of pride for your city, for, you know, for the people around you. And I remember it was funny because like I painted a bunch of roses and the roses came out cool. But like a lot of people from the neighborhood were coming around and seeing it like, hey man, those are some nice flowers, you know? And I mean, of course, you know why.
For the listeners that don't, El Monte Flores, you know, so that's what Domani's known for. El Monte is known for. So, you know.
Yeah, it's the local gang. But I mean, they were, like, they seen what we were doing, you know? Like, it wasn't just us tagging up the city to just get our name up on a wall. It was us putting something that looked nice. Like, my buddy, he did all the portraits, and he's a hell of a, like, portrait painter. Especially when it came to, like, doing something. But, like, I could paint portraits, and I can do all that stuff, but at a different scale. Like, when you go that big, like, my sense of proportion, you know, painting something up close and having to step back, like, I don't know.
Now I'm interested.
You got the different eyes.
Not right now, but, I mean, did you send me a picture? Like, I'm sure you have
of the painting.
Yeah.
I have to look for it.
No. I mean, that's why not right now. Just
me and my buddy were looking for it recently. I think he said he might have found it, but
whenever you do, just if you do.
I don't think I have one. I need to look for it. I know I had taken some, and then the camera that I used, I think, got lost or something. But there was a couple pictures like going around on the internet that I think like somebody just took and put it up, and like. What was cool is they seen it and they recognized what it was, like celebrating the bicentennial of Mexico or whatever, you know, and it was kind of cool to see because it was like we didn't say this is this. We knew it was because that was our plan, you know, around that idea. But then to see somebody like pick it up and like, oh yeah, you know, it's like, you know, you're the author seeing the reader get the point. You know, it's like they might not get the point. You know, they might see it their own way. But, like, just seeing, like, okay, cool, this guy got it, represented it, and he said, like, this is this. Now, other people that see that, you know, that article are going to see, like, oh, that's what that is. That's what that painting is. That represents this and that. So, yeah, I mean, that was cool. That was fun. But, yeah, man, like, art now, like, I don't do it so much. I do it, like, more in, like, graphic design and, like, screen printing and stuff like that. But, I mean, even, like, graphic design nowadays has probably been my biggest outlet to where before was like just hands-on painting, freehand like sketching and color pencil. I mean, I even got into tattoos for a little bit. Somewhere along the path, I don't know where my tattoo equipment ended up, But I had like 2 tattoo needles. I mean, I didn't do very many. I maybe did like 10 to 15 tattoos, and most of them were free. I think I maybe did like 1 or 2 that I charged for, but not really much. I had a buddy that went to the army that I did like his whole arm in like calligraphy kind of with the cross. And I mean, it came out, I messed up maybe like in 2 little spots that you may not notice. You may notice if you've got the eye for it. But I mean, it looked legit. It looked cool. I mean, I enjoyed doing it, but it was just never something that I really like caught passion for. I thought it was something that I would, but
it just didn't go down.
Yeah, it just didn't. I mean, like I said, like
I've
had a lot of hobbies where like I just like jump around. I mean, most people that really know me would say that, like my ability to learn stuff and kind of like do stuff. Like I'm a quick learner, and like I've even said that a lot, like in interviews. But of course, like I'm sure they fucking hear that from everybody, you know. But like one thing, like when I do go to an interview, like I stress them, you know, one of my benefits is being a quick learner, you know, and I'm sure you hear that all the time, but you know, I'm a quick learner. Like I guarantee you, like you can teach me some stuff and I'll grasp it pretty quick, and I'll try to grasp it to the point where I can teach it, you know, because if you can teach something, it's where you learn the most, you know, because you might think something in your head and then you put it out, you're like, wait, no, that doesn't make sense. Then you go back and then you correct the process, and then you find out, oh, okay, this is the fundamentals and this is how you do it, you know. But yeah, like my overall goal at the beginning of like starting my career was to like get a master's degree in art and then teach art like at a college or university or a private school. It didn't go that way. I was doing that, and then I got a job in manufacturing, and the rest is history.
Well, you could always go back, right?
Yeah, and I want to do it. I mean, there's not very much more that I need to do to start getting degrees and certificates. So I'm like, fuck it, might as well. I mean, I'm already there. I mean, I think I need like 3 classes. But I don't know. Like I've got the skill set already, so doing what I'm doing, I'm not really like looking at like, oh, I absolutely have to finish. But yeah, I don't believe finishing is going to get me any more than I have now. You know, right at this point, it's more of the grind than anything. Like I'm not striving to be a teacher anymore. But I still like to, like, yeah, it'd be cool, but it's not a passion anymore.
Then you don't have to. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So like before, like I said, like me and my buddy, like which was where we separate ourselves from the pack, was we would get together, we would study, we would go to museums, me and him, and go sketch at the museum, you know, sketch the paintings, sketch the statues, sketch whatever, the sculptures. Just go out to the park and draw a landscape, try to paint a landscape. Like we would like just go out and just do it, you know. And a lot of people weren't willing to do that, you know. Just like with anything, like to get better, you got to do the things that people aren't willing to do. So I mean, we went into that class, and basically any like art class at that point, I mean, we were just fucking dominating, and it was kind of cool to see but I mean, it's different. Like
you put in the work.
Yeah. So that's like going with anything, like say like with golf, I can't say, oh, I'm a better golfer than you. That's obvious, you know, but at the same time, like you don't put in the time that I put in. So I don't expect you to be better, like, you know, and that's where like the whole net, you know, adjustment kind of comes in and makes it more handicapped. But, you know, like going back, those classes, like we would stand out right away because like this was more of a passion than just like a career path, you know, like we're more about like the career path is going to come was kind of, I guess, the thinking in a way. Like, if I've got the passion and I learn, you know, like the career path is just going to be, you know, school's just going to be in the way and then finish, you know. But, yeah, man, we did a couple, like, galleries, like, within the school, some that were outside of the school. And, I don't know, we kind of got stuck on that. And, like, me and him were, like, painting signs at random, like, shops,
nice,
and little murals like that way, and just like on the ground, like I was working part-time, but then just kind of doing art. So like, you know, you go into classes with the experience of going out, doing like your own murals, going out and like
doing it outside the classroom,
doing art for money, and then like studying like some of the, like trying to replicate like some of the like master drawings, and like, I mean, it just takes you to such a different level than, you know, than the other people. So I mean, then I got a scholarship to like art center, And I went into those classes, and I was tearing it up. That was when I was like 3 or 4 classes into the scholarship, or 3 or 4 scholarships into it, when then I got a new job, and it was like everything changed from there. And now it's kind of like going back to like, what do I really want to do?
Yeah.
You know, and like that's where, like, I think last time on my brother's podcast was, you know, the last thing leaving is like, what do you want to do? Are you happy? You know, do something that you're happy with. You know, like there's means of getting money, you know, and it doesn't always have to be, you know, what conforms to society. You know, like there's ways to get it, you know, especially like if you're passionate about what you do, like you said, like your topics and your stuff, and seeing like how other people like it. Well, I mean, people are going to like it because it's what you're doing, you know. It's not so much worrying about like, oh, what are they going to listen to? It's like, no, what do I find interesting? Because what you find interesting is what other people are going to find interesting. Then they're going to find it interesting because they know that it's something that they know that you're going to produce good content because what you're into is, you know, appealing to them. But I don't know. So that's kind of been where I'm at right now. It's kind of trying to find, I guess, career-wise, like where I fit, like what am I going to do, you know?
It's not just money. Like how am I going to go to work, be happy, come home, and, you know, something that you enjoy doing, and like the money is just an extra. It's like a bonus, you know, almost. Like,
yeah, I mean, of course you want to get a house and you want to get all the stuff for your family to settle. But like my brother was saying earlier, you know, I don't know if that part was recorded, but
no,
it was just like materialistic stuff is just material, you know, it's just there, you know, it's about the relationships that you have, you know, and sometimes, I mean, of course you take sacrifices to get to what you would say consider like the minimum of what, you know, what's required, you know, house, you know, bills, food, you know, you do what's required. But I don't know. It's like he was saying, it's always about like relationships and like
experiences.
Yeah, and I mean mainly relationships with the people that, you know, that you care about, that you love, that, you know, you want to spend time with, you know, and that's where like kind of doing something different would, you know, fall along the lines of that, because not always how much money are you making, but how much time do you have, you know, at the same token. So it's not only being like, it's not like, oh, I want to work on my own to be wealthy in money. I want to work on my own to, maybe it's to be wealthy in time. You know, have you ever seen the movie? Oh, fuck, this is good. Have you ever seen the movie Just in Time? I think it's called Just in Time.
Oh, wait.
It's with Justin Timberlake. That's fucking
In Time.
good.
It's called
In Time.
Yeah, it's like
if you haven't seen that movie, oh, dude, that's good.
Spoiler alert, because we're going to ruin it. This is a good movie. So
yeah, I mean,
spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's good. It's basically about time. So time is literally money.
Currency.
Yeah. So if you're working, you're getting what's given to you. So say if we're here in El Monte, time is only going to get us, or work is only going to get us so much time. So with your time, you work for time, and with your time, you buy stuff. So your time being your time alive. So if I work 40 hours, maybe I get an extra 3 weeks alive, you know. But now if I want food, I got to give up 10 minutes. You know, if I want a sandwich, I got to give up 10 minutes. If I want a car, I got to give up, you know, maybe the 2 weeks, maybe a year of my life. Which, I mean, in a way, you know, that's kind of the way real life is. You know, like you're putting in the time, you're getting money, and you're spending it. And at the same time, that time that you're wasting is literally the time that you're wasting doing whatever you're doing to make that money to get the car. I mean, to a certain extent. But, yeah, so he finds a way to, like, get a lot of time. I don't know if I forgot. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. But he ended up gaining a lot of time and started skipping into the next cities. Because now you can't get into the next city if you don't have enough time. So, like, you can go into the next city, but then if your time runs out because you've given everything up to try to move to the next step, then you die. As soon as your time runs out, you're dead, and that's it. You're gone. So he finds a way to just keep gaining money. I wish I remembered. I don't
how he got it.
There
was that guy that was like super, super wealthy, right? He had so much time, and he was going to jump off a bridge or whatever. And I mean, but you're not going to die because you have all the time in the world. Literally.
Yeah.
And so the guy's telling him, like, you know, I forget the specifics, but he tells him, like, I've been along for, like, X amount. Like, what? Like, and it's, like, something crazy. He goes, You know, like, I just want to die at this point. So, like, you could transfer money by, like,
grabbing
each other's time on their, kind of like on their forearm. And so he transfers all this money over. And so it shows up on the radar, you know, like, this abundance of money is now in this, like, ghetto, poor community, like, something's going on. So, you know, it's a movie, so, you know, so the bad guys are looking for him, whatever. The cops are looking for him because they're like, you probably killed that guy.
Yeah,
you know, why would he give you that?
Yeah, people would kill people to take their time so
like,
they can survive. So then you see, like, homeless people dying, you know, because other people are taking advantage of them or, you know, killing them and taking their time.
The church, you know, the church is giving time out. Like, it's, like, literally, like, there's a line to get, instead of food, like, people are standing in line for time. And, you know, sorry, folks, that's all we have this week, you know, and people haven't really been giving them much. So it's a nice concept, you know, if you look at it. Like, it's crazy because, you know, time is money.
It's just an interesting, like, the way it's just put together and, like, the concepts behind it. But, yeah, then he ends up going and getting into, like, the elite level and meeting this chick that's, like, super rich. And, like, they think he's rich because he's in that elite section of life. And, yeah, so then they kind of figure him out, and he's kind of trying to get away, I think, and just basically not die, or I don't know. But, yeah, it's a hell of a movie. Interesting movie. I mean, it's not like you're not going to learn life lessons.
No, it's just entertaining.
It's super entertaining. Super entertaining. That's one of the movies that I've always kind of thought about, and I actually haven't rewatched it since I watched it, I think, the one time, like, in theaters.
It used to be on HBO, like they do like the loops. Like every 3 months, it's like a new movie, but it's not a new movie. So every time it's on, it's one of those movies. I'm like, oh, dude, this is kind of cool. I like this one. And you just throw it on, even though you already know after the second time, like, what's going to happen. I mean, after the first time, you know what's going to happen. But after the second time, like, there's no surprises. Like, there's nothing like, oh, I missed this the first time. And I still watch it. Like, I haven't seen it maybe like in maybe a year or two. But I for sure I watched it over like 5 or 6 times.
I always thought the concept of it was pretty interesting. Cool to just think about it and like kind of see the way they put it. And I mean, I thought it was done. I thought it was done well when I seen it. Like maybe now you look back and it's like, dude, that sucks.
Maybe
like, the way they put it together sucks.
I haven't seen it like maybe
but
a year
I mean,
or two.
From what I remember, I mean, I got enough of it to like bring it up again.
Yeah,
you know, and
true.
like think it was interesting enough.
We just spent a few minutes on it. So, I mean, Justin Timberlake. Shout out Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. Shout out JT, avid golfer.
Oh, he is. Huh?
Yeah.
I'll say, anything else you want to add on? Anything you want to dive into? This has been fun. I know. I hope the listeners, like, if you haven't golfed, I think you did such a good way of presenting it. That's why I kind of like let you go. Cause I was like, dude, I'm just gonna ask stupid questions, or I'm gonna interrupt him. So I was intrigued, as you can tell. Like, we don't have any cameras in here, but I was like all ears, And so I hope the listeners, like, if they haven't golfed, it's like, oh, let me try this shit out. Let me see what it's all about.
Yeah, and I would say, like, if you've gone to the range, go play. And if you haven't played, go to the range a little bit and then go play. Like, even if you suck, like, I remember I played Industry Hills and I was, like, barely starting. And I went into it knowing, like, okay, I know this is a better golf course in the area, and I know I suck, but I'm just, like, curious to see what this golf course looks like. And then I seen it, I was like, fuck, I want to get better. I want to play this course good. And now I've played it once or twice, like, really, really good, to where it's, like, so fulfilling. Like, to play, like, a good golf course or, like, a tough golf course, I mean, it's fucking hard. To where, like, some of the courses here, like, you go and the greens are flat, so you're not really, like, looking at how it's going to break. Like, over there, if you're in the wrong spot, you're in a different level of the green. There's absolutely no way that you can get it next to the hole. You just, like, say you're going, like, way downhill with a huge slope. I mean, you're just trying to let it, like, almost stop as it reaches the hill and just let the momentum of the hill take the ball as far as it can or as short as it can, and hopefully it's enough to get close to the hole. But sometimes, you're at the mercy of, where you end up when you play a better golf course that has a lot of elevation changes and just different movement on the greens and all that. So, I mean, it's an interesting game. It's an interesting game from the beginning to, all the different steps going into it and the excitement of buying clubs. And you buy it, then it's like new again. Then it's like, oh, man, I want to go out and I want to hit the ball. I want to just go and see what this club feels like. And then you start hitting it good in the rain. It's like, man, I want to go and play. And then you go and play, and there's the bug starts again. You know, you just get hooked on and on. But I mean, one of the things, like I said about earlier, the guy Eric Anders Lang, like if you're semi-interested and you want to see some like really interesting stuff, there's a show on YouTube called Adventures in Golf. So this guy's a host, and it's he just kind of plays like random golf courses and like kind of like a vlog, but they're funny. They're like, he's an influencer in the industry, so it's like kind of seeing it different. And he's not of a golf background, you know, just like myself in a way. It's just why I guess I kind of connected to it, because I didn't grow up playing golf, and neither did he. But then something clicked, and now he's been playing for like 10 years. Something clicked, and you know, and he just, you know, enjoyed it and stuck with it, and he started working with the PGA Tour. But now, like, he's been doing all these other series to where now he's a valuable asset in the industry, you know. And just the passion for really growing the game is where he's like gone into. And he recently did one. So now one of my like bucket list for golf is like Scotland. You know, going to Scotland and playing. Like, when can you play? What's the first baseball field?
Field of Dreams.
The Field of Dreams, but Pennsylvania.
I want to say
Williamsburg, Pennsylvania.
Williamsport,
whatever it is.
Well, yeah.
But like, when do you get to play there? Like in like
I get what you're saying.
Hallowed grounds, you know, like you can play the golf course that first started golf ever. Can you go to the fucking basketball court where fucking basketball was invented, or where volleyball was invented, or, you know, throwing a discus, the first discus court, or whatever, you know, whatever the sport that you're into? Like, when can you go to the spot where, you know, it was invented hundreds and hundreds of years ago, you know? And so, like, St. Andrews is the birthplace of golf. So that's kind of one of the interesting ones where it's like, fuck, man, I want to go. Like, that's so bad. And, like, we used to have a whiskey club. So now, like, whiskey, Scotland, golf, Scotland, I mean, it's all, like, whiskey and golf are, like, embedded in one another, you know? And so at some point, 5 to 10 years from now, my brother and I, and my dad said he's in, and try to go take a trip, go play some golf, go drink some whiskey at some of the distilleries, and just have a good time. But that's one of the ones that's on the bucket list. And this guy Eric Anders Lang, he not on that show, but basically off of the shows and the stuff that he was doing, he got a deal to go and basically showcase all the different golf courses in Scotland, and like the local eats and things to do in the area, the history of the area. So now he has another one, I think it's called like the unofficial guide to Scotland. And it's crazy, like, because I had been following him, so like he had been like kind of not hyping it up, but just saying like, oh, there's something in the works. Once it's all said and done, I'll let you know what it is and tell you what we're doing. So he played like, the numbers is going to be wrong because I don't know exactly what it was, but it was like, say, like 28 courses in like 20 days.
Wow.
So now you're playing multiple courses every single day and recording, and like they had like drones, and like they had a little camera crew, and then they're playing, and then they're doing like their vlog, and then they're going to like the bar and showcasing like some of the bars and like the history at the bars, like who stayed there, like the prominent names in golf, the historic names in golf, the founders of golf, you know, and like just kind of going into the history. And like I haven't really gotten to see all of it. I've seen a few episodes, but like it's stuff like that like an intro into the game, and seeing like the stuff that he's doing, because it's interesting. Like he goes to India on one of them to play slum golf, and basically these Indians get rebar and they just like twist it into a golf club looking thing, and they hit a tennis ball around the slums of India. And so he plays against like one of the guys there, so that's kind of cool. There's another one where they play it's like street urban golf in Portland.
What do you mean?
So it's like a group of guys that like, say like you, me, and my brother said, hey, let's take our golf clubs, and we're gonna have a tennis ball, and the hole, we're starting it here. The hole is to hit this electrical pole on Peck. We have 10 shots.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So then they're just going around. Like, say if it would be more like a downtown LA, you know, like an arts district where you're kind of like, it's streets. It's not a busy street. It's never like really busy. You can kind of walk in the middle of the street for a while and no cars are going to come by. So they're kind of playing in the middle, and so they're just playing out urban golf. So like there's a lot of like funky little golf stuff that's like other than golf, and like he'll go to
like subcultures almost.
Yeah, like he went to Nepal to go play over there, like a random spot, and he went to another place in, I want to say it's like India still, or a different part of India, where this girl's coming up in this like random golf club in the random spot, and she's good, and she's like coming up in the sport. And then they play other places where it's like just literally like a goat farm, where they invented like just a game to play, and you have like these goats that caddy for you. Yeah, so it's just like different stuff. And like there was one where he played like in the desert, and there's a place called the Devil's Golf Course. It's not really a golf course. They just call it the Devil's Golf Course because it's just a big field with like sharp rocks. Like some of them are like razor sharp rocks that are just like, it's just like miles of this stuff. So then he goes, he's like, I'm going to play the Devil's Golf Course that obviously nobody's played because it's not a golf course. You know, it's just like a monument that's called Devil's Golf Course, you know. So he goes, he hits the shot, and he goes into it, and like he like walks deep into it to go and hit his second shot, just for the fact of like, I'm gonna semi play golf, you know, because you can hit it once, and I mean, in a way you can say, oh, I played, but to go and try to find your ball just like you would if you fell in the rough or whatever, it's just interesting, funny, and like he's outside of the box for sure, especially when it comes into golf. Golf is like more of a conservative type of sport when you look at like the history of it, but like you kind of see him and like the quirkiness or like the outside of the box, just like a friend in a way that you're listening to, and it's like sometimes he'll say stuff, it's just fucking funny. Like I remember, like it's stupid that like this memory like holds, but he was like drinking water, and he's like, oh man, he's doctors say you're supposed to drink water, but you're not supposed to chug it. He's like, but fuck it. I'm still gonna chug this water because I'm thirsty. You know, I don't care what they say. Like, but it's just stupid. It's funny because it's like just him like with a mic, like just kind of talking,
being himself.
But yeah, but it just makes like the overall sport interesting because I mean what he's doing is interesting, and like all the different stuff that he's like getting into is cool, you know. And I mean there's a lot of personalities like that, especially nowadays. A lot of personalities, a lot of like individual brands, a lot of like boutique type brands that are different than like some of the bigger brands or some niche companies, you know, like say Nike used to make equipment and then they stopped. So now what are those people that work there for, you know, for so long, what do they do now? You know, in that instance, there was a group of guys that started a company called Artisan. You know, they made wedges, they designed the irons and stuff for Nike. When Nike was up, they bought the Nike factory, you know, and now they have their factory out of there, and they're still doing stuff for professionals, but now it's specifically these guys that are making these things. And like now, like if I had the money, I can purchase stuff through them, and it's going to be exactly fitted for me, you know, my tendencies in a swing, you know, what I like in the turf interaction, like how the golf club goes into the ground and how it feels. You know, there's a lot more to just like a golf club off the shelf, because not always does a golf club off the shelf fit your swing, you know, and you know, the way you get it around the golf course. But there's companies like that, other companies that are making like hand ground irons. And this guy is the brand's National Custom. But this guy is just getting like these blank forgings. I mean, it's all high quality stuff, and just grinding all day on a grinding wheel. You know, just after. I mean, and they're pricey, but it's like such high quality that you don't get like anywhere else, because it's made specifically for you, specifically for your tendencies or what you want to see in a golf shot. And these guys, I mean, they've worked with the best in the world. So I mean, you know what I mean? They've done stuff for legends, like some of the greatest that have ever played, like those guys from Artisan. Like they did all of the Tiger Woods stuff. So it's like, of course, these guys know their shit. So then if you were to go and you had the money to go and buy one of theirs that's fitted for you, like, that's so cool.
It's crazy to think about, you know? Like,
yeah, like it's interesting. I mean, and it's kind of cool. Like, it's one of the things that I've been wanting to do for the longest. Like, start like some kind of golf company. But it's something I like to do. You know, it's something that I don't think would be much of a hassle. You know, whether it's like a lifestyle brand or like a certain golf product. You know, that I find can solve an issue for a golfer. You know, and just getting my way into it would be kind of cool. I mean, I've got myself in other endeavors, but I mean, just kind of always thinking about it is always kind of like, I want to do it, but then it's like, what do? You know, like, especially me liking so many different things and so many aspects of it. Like, where do you start in a way? Like, I don't know. I guess just starting is the point.
Make a list. See what.
Check it twice.
Yeah. I'm not Santa, but no. Make a list. see what needs to be done or what can be improved. You know, as far as like you said, maybe, I don't know, just on the top of my head, hearing you talk, make it not easier but simpler for, you know, a way to get into these pro-ams or these invitationals, you know, because it sounds like it's tough for those people trying to get there, you know. It's like, maybe find a way to get that's your foot in the door. I'm sure that other people feel the same way you do.
Yeah. I mean, but the competition part, like, I wouldn't try to go into the industry in like a competition sense, because that's hard. That requires like full on focus and like talent. I mean, even putting in the time, like, there's just so many good players out there that you might not just get enough, you know. That's being more of the realist, which I'm usually like an optimist, but understanding where I'm at and understanding what's required. You know, it's like, fuck it. Just because you have aspirations to, at 29 years old, play in the MLB, you can aspire all you want, but there's an 18-year-old that will whoop your ass all day, is a foot taller than you, and just fucking ripped and talented and a hard worker, you know, already. So it's like, you need to like break the mold and then get into that and give a lot of stuff up. I mean, some of the stuff isn't realistic. I mean, it's fun because in the sense, like, you can get in it, and if you do good, you do good. If not, fuck it. You know, it's fun to like play at that level, and you're just constantly competing in these more like well-known tournaments is what would just be kind of cool. And at the same time, I'm sure like better myself in the mentality state of like a tournament. That would be kind of cool, you know. I don't know. There's a lot of things that I'd like to do, especially in the golf industry, that I think would genuinely make me happy overall.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it, David. We did 2 hours and a half.
Damn.
Yeah. This isn't a self-help podcast by any means. I know you gave me a good one not too long ago. But some words of wisdom for the listener. I mean, this has been words of wisdom.
Explore. Yeah, do something that you might think you don't want to do. Go take a hike. You know, you might enjoy the nature more than the thought of like, I'm going to be dirty, I'm going to be tired, you know, it's a fucking inconvenience, you know, I might see a fucking snake. I might see a bear, which is probably not likely. But I mean, you know, get away of the ideas of like the negative parts of it and try to enjoy the positives. Go take a walk, you know, go take a hike. Maybe you like the nature much more than you thought, you know. Maybe you're just too focused on what might be instead of what's actual, you know. Like, go out, explore. I mean, if it wasn't for my curiosity in playing or trying to go and play with, you know, people that I grew up with, I would have never gone into, you know, or if they wouldn't have tried, I would have never been, you know, open to the game, because that's legitimately when I thought, hey, I want to try that out. Before that, it was not a thought. You know, and then I was like, man, these guys are going off, and that looks fucking tight. It looks fun, you know, like, it just looked cool, you know, and like knowing you guys and knowing everybody's just good people and funny and like just good to be around with. I mean, it was like, I would see it and be like, man, that'd be cool to go. And then when my brother got me into it, like I said, it started from there. But like I said, I mean, go out and try something, you know, because you don't know if you might like it, or you don't know if you might inspire somebody else to do something that they become passionate with, you know. And you going out there and you guys posting it enough to like inspire me to go out and do it, would definitely change my life, in a lot of different ways, because the game itself like makes you think a lot more, analytical, and having analytical thoughts and like considering stuff before making a decision, just that phrase alone, like it can apply anywhere in life, analyze what's going on and don't make a decision until you feel it's the right decision, and go into it with confidence and just run with it, So, food for thought is kind of that applied to really anything in life.
Nice. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for listening.
That's not written down either.
Yeah, I know. This is off the top of the head. We'll see you next time.
See ya.